What did I do? There we go. Hey, I found us.
Hello.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the first stream to Rumble. Guess what, guys? They can't stop me. Well, the gun can stop me because, they can't stop me, guys. They can't stop me. They can't do anything to me. You know, that's cool. Let's take, let's say, how about a 49 pocket with a way too light hammer?
There you go.
There's nothing they can do. No, I'll say that. Okay, guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, the reason we are not streaming this live to YouTube anymore was because 11 Bang Bang got a strike a few months ago, and we weren't even paying attention to 11 Bang Bang. And the strike occurred like nobody was paying attention. I didn't even know till I went and looked at it the other day. And it had already been 90 days, and it had run its course. The strike was for a live stream from 3 years ago where Snapper holds up a drawing of a pistol. It says, please don't strike us for holding this drawing of this pistol.
I didn't even know that was what happened. Oh my God.
And so there's a little deal where you can comment and ask a question. I don't know if they have AI answer it or somebody answers it. And I said, this is from an old stream. This is a video now. And they said, yes, but it was presented to YouTube as a stream. It is in your live stream section. Therefore, it is a stream. So, if they hit any more on 11 Bang Bang, it's not the end of the world. But we decided that since we're here, we're going to do this on Rumble. And if you want to be in the live chat, you got to come join us on Rumble at 11 Bang Bang 2. And otherwise, just watch it on Smoke in the Woods or wherever it pops up. It'll be popping up probably over several of our channels in short form and long form over the next few days. And we're just going to try doing it this way. And it just feels like freedom, don't it, Snap?
It's crazy because when we first started this is what the world was like. We had it so good. We had it so good back then.
Yep.
It almost feels like I'm like doing something illegal. Isn't that weird? Mm-hmm. I'm so used to not being able to touch this stuff on live that it feels like we're breaking some kind of a rule. It's amazing.
And by the way, guys, I'm still figuring out this Rumble live streaming. And so I'm not able to comment back to you, but I can read your comments. So we will be doing that. I also can't see how many people are in the stream at the moment, but you know what? We're just having a good time. We're just going to have a conversation. Hopefully Duke gets here pretty soon because we're going to be talking about a movie that, unless I'm mistaken, he's partially one of the reasons that he's named what he's named is because of this movie. All right, so just so you know, I've seen this movie, These Searchers, somewhere probably to the tune of 200 times. I have a brother named Ethan. Might partially be because of this. It might be because of another show with Tom Selleck that my mom was into. I have a nephew named Martin. So we have Uncle Ethan and Martin right here in the family. And we have, of course, the Saboteur up here, Sheldon Blunthorn. He likes to give us our Native American perspective and, of course, perspective on history. Not many people I know that constantly stay in the books as much as Sheldon does. He sends me something all the time. And we have the Snapper down here, the Colt firearms man himself. And today, what we're going to be doing is going through some of these characters and taking away the guns that were in the movie. That you got to realize the movie was made in 1956. Not very many prop houses, a few. There are some movies that have correct guns from the period, but very rarely. The prop houses just give them 73 single actions and 92 Winchesters. And so that's what most of the movies had at the time. So we're going... except for a few guns in this movie. We're going to rearm this movie. Let's start off with our impressions of the movie. All right, Sheldon, you just watched it for the first time the other night. And you're not
gentlemen, I got to go for 1 second. I'll be right back.
Go ahead. You're not a longtime John Wayne fan, so you're just kind of getting into this. Give us the prospect of someone who's never seen it before, has no history with it, didn't grow up with it. Give us the honest truth.
It's good. I like the story. I guess one of the things is just the 50 corniness. Something I'm not used to. So
some of that 50 stuff. All right. So give us an example. We got to get it out there. I'll take away the facts of the sand.
Huh?
I said I'm going to take the sand off the table. That's something that bothers me too. But go ahead.
beginning of the movie, when they're prepping for the Comanche raid, and oldest girl, like it's taking her, a little bit to figure out what's going on. But the second she realizes, why, their mom's making the cabin dark. Like she does that 50s look at the camera, scream. It's like it's a little corny.
Okay, that's like one of the very first, outside of maybe Dracula 1931. That's one of the very first zoom in onto a horror face that's like that in film history. And I think it got corny afterwards, but I think at the time people were like, "Holy cow, that's new."
It got corny there, and there's a little things here and there that I thought were just like little corny, little 250s, like all John Wayne movies are historically accurate, so you can use them for living history. So
yeah,
no,
so I'm gonna take a little blowhorn. So whenever I do my text, whenever I do like
the blow, yeah, that's a signal for the attack. Okay, so that's kind of where you're at on it. What did you like about it?
It was more of a serious movie, so I liked it.
Yeah.
Even though I was just talking about the corners, my favorite character would be Mose.
Oh yeah, definitely. For the subtlety of him.
Yeah. But a lot of it I did enjoy. It was more serious, and once you just go with the flow of it's the 50s, their natives aren't going to be too accurate. It was good. I enjoyed it. It was a very serious movie that it could be serious without showing you, I guess, the serious stuff.
Yeah. It didn't have to get too crazy with it, and obviously it's John Ford, so he's going to set it in all of Texas. Looks like Monument Valley, and I guarantee you, nobody's raising cattle on that sand.
Right.
That's just the way it is. All right, Snapper, you watched this in the past. Tell us about your connections to the search.
I wish I would have watched it more recently, because now we're talking about it. I'm like, man, I don't remember who that was. So I kind of feel stupid. I wish I would have watched it more recently. It is, if I remember right, isn't it kind of loosely based off the story of there was a woman that was taken as a
Britt Johnson.
Yeah, and so I think that's pretty cool, and the fact that he just kept looking for her the entire time was pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
Like I said, I feel stupid. I wish I would have watched it again recently, because now I'm really pressed on it. It's like I know the whole movie, and then I'm like, oh crap, it's been a while now.
Well, it's based on that, and it has a lot of ties to Cynthia Ann Parker, who was gone for like 25 years. They looked for her, obviously.
And that was Quanah Parker's mother, wasn't
it? And there seems to be ties in the behind the scenes when people are talking about that cicatrice scar. His eyes aren't the right color, and he looks white. Well, John Ford's excuse was, I just took inspiration from Quanah Parker, which doesn't make any sense because the girl is, supposed to be Quanah Parker's mom, but they played around with it a little bit like that. They actually had some legitimate discussions over it. Because
at least it wasn't some weird, strange, random,
Yeah, because Ford wanted to hire true natives for this, and he did for like most of the extras. And for Luke, he got that woman off the Navajo reservation.
I say all the actual natives all look Navajo. So.
Yeah, they did look, and obviously since they're filming in Monument Valley, that's probably where they came from, right? But So when did you say was your first time watching it, Snapper?
The first time I watched it was many years ago, but last time I watched it was probably 2 years ago. Roughly 2 years ago, maybe less. I watch it every now and then. It'll come up on YouTube movies for free every great now and then, and I'll pop it on and watch it.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Festus was in it. Yeah, King Curtis plays a role, and we're going to talk about him. I wish Duke was already here, but he's not yet, so I don't know where he's at. Anyway, my first, and Sheldon will get a kick out of this. This movie was one of the first two adult westerns I ever watched, because I watched a lot of Roy Rogers. I watched, as a very small kid, I watched Davy Crockett, Daniel Boone, None of them were what you consider adult westerns. The first one I watched that was adult western was Angel and the Bad Man, John Wayne. My grandma loaned it to us with a VCR. We didn't even have a VCR. If we wanted to watch a movie, we had to borrow a VCR and a TV from my grandma. It's a little bitty screen.
The good old days, man. The good old days.
Okay, so Mom and Dad went on a trip and left me with my grandparents. They had a big screen TV, and they had one of these little roll-out VCR, and it was actually VCR. That was the thing at the time. And they had one of these little deals, where you would pull out the shelf, and it was just a line of VCR tapes. And it started with Singin' Sandy was the first movie in that line of VCR tapes, and it was John Wayne movies, and there was about 10 of them. And the last one was The Shootist, which was John Wayne's last movie where he dies. And so Mom and Dad were on a trip somewhere. We were with Grandma and Grandpa for about 5 days. I watched John Wayne's all the way through, like all the big ones, El Dorado, Rio Lobo, Rio Bravo. And I was probably 8 years old or so. None of them hit me like that red scene in this movie. That is my first experience of watching something that I was like, oh, this is really, really scary. Like it's not like some monster, Wizard of Oz witch or something like that. This is like, these people are absolutely terrified, and I'm terrified with them. My grandpa was there, my grandpa Gene. He was sitting there with me watching that. And the next day, we went into town to the store, and there was a big Cheyenne population that lived around us at the time. And my grandpa was real big friends with Chief Charlie Little Coyote, who was the chief at the time. And Grandpa's walking around the corner, and here comes Charlie around the other corner. Well, evidently, I'm kicking my feet into the shopping cart, giving Grandpa fits. And he looks at me and says, I'm going to give you to the Indians. I had just seen The Searchers. I knew what that entailed. And I was just looking at him, and I turned around, and he said, right, Charlie. And I turned around, and there's this big old Cheyenne dude standing right next to me. He said, yeah, Gene, I'll take this little hair from you. Grandpa talks about it to this day. I didn't act up in the store anymore. So
I bet.
That was my first time of watching The Searchers. Left an impression. I've watched it probably 100 times since then.
That reminds me when I went to your place last year and went to your parents' place and saw your nephew, and he kind of just gave me a look and kind of kept his distance.
The Searchers might have something to do with that, because it's legitimately a rite of passage in this part of rural America. I mean, it used to be. I don't know if it so much is anymore, but back in the 80s and 90s for kids, when VCRs and TV, were watching, that was the movie. That was the big one that all of the parents were like, this is what I watched as a kid. You've got to watch it, right? And the older you get, the more you realize it's a really good storytelling vehicle, more than it's just a beautiful. So, you guys ready to go through some comments? I'm hoping to.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Luxa Pila Black Powder, I hope I said that name right, said, good evening from the hills of West Alabama. Remember, Ethan Edwards said a man's only good for one oath in his life at a time, and he gave that to the Confederate States of America. Oh,
my man.
I love that scene. I still got my saber, Reverend. I ain't turned it into no plowshare neither.
I forget we could play with stuff, so I might as well have at least one on my just in case there's any engines around.
Your man's only good for one oath at a time. I took mine to the Confederate States of America. So did you, Reverend. Okay, sorry. Here we go. We'll try not to get into that, getting caught up with quoting the movie too much. Hey, long-time watcher, the Shop Monkey said, hey, long-time watcher from 11 Bang Bang under a different name. Figured I'd try a new name for Rumble. Cool. Mill Creek Range. Hi, Benji. I know you. It's kind of weird seeing all these under the Rumble logo instead of YouTube. Said, hello from North Central Alabama. Just finished cleaning my guns from an evening of the shooting range. Cool.
My man, Benji.
Timber Drifter South Post said, Northeast Wisconsin checking in. McLean 51. Good evening, everyone. I'm glad you're back. Good evening from Southeast Ohio. Stomping grounds of the scoundrel or hero, Louis Wetzel. Depends on who you ask. Shop Monkey said, we are back, talking about us being able to handle the firearms. Two Guns 59 said, am I here? Yes, you are. Howdy. Shop Monkey said, top hat and overall. A fellow man of culture, I see. Yes. I was going to put my other clothes on. I ran out of time. But yeah, so the Reverend Samuel Clayton, Captain Reverend Samuel Johnson Clayton is one of my favorite characters of all time. Timber Drifter said, gun on screen immediately. Yes. McCory 51 said, I have to brag. I just acquired a Uberti Patterson, brand new. Wow. In the box with papers for $90. At an auction.
That's really
wow. Wow. Where did you find that deal?
At an auction. Gun auctions.
Holy
so much better
cow.
Still not seeing Duke. He said, I ordered 2 Guns 59 said, I ordered 3rd model Russian last night. Oorah. Okay, cool.
Nice.
Okay, one guy said, good evening, guys. Hey, I'm recognizing some of these names at least. So far, 33 people. Cool. I told them before we went on, if we had 10, I'd be happy. 34.
I know, right? 33 is a lot for a brand new streaming site.
Howdy, Southwest Ohio. I don't think I've ever seen this movie. Timber Drifter said, oh, you got to watch Searchers. It's the rite of passage into Western history. Even if the clothes and the guns are all wrong, the rest of it is okay.
I think the only part they got wrong, there should have been more single action armies.
Yeah, in 68.
Yeah. Should have had way more single action armies.
Okay. 2 Guns said, I'm kind of a true grit guy. Well, maybe we'll do that one too someday.
That's a good. You know what my favorite is? The Shootist. I don't know why. I think it's because it's like one of the very first John Wayne movies I ever watched.
Especially if you're an 8-year-old and you watch like 15 of them in a row and end with the Shootist. That's heartbreaking.
I bet. But it was one of those things, like my dream as a little kid was to actually meet some of these people you read about, right? And that was like, to me, the closest movie you could ever get to meeting, you know, like one of these Old West figures. It actually was a movie about meeting an Old West figure. You know, I love that movie still to this day.
There is a definite tie between the Shootist and the Searchers. Did you know that? Because there was a behind-the-scenes thing that's very famous where Sergio, or whoever, was it Leone? Sergio Leone? I can't remember who it was that directed the movie. One of the guys who made the Italian movies. At the end of the Shootist, he requests that John Wayne shoot Hugh Bryan in the back as he's running around the bar. And John Wayne said, I've never shot anybody in the back, and I'm not going to start shooting people in the back in this movie. So they did the whole scene. They changed around, really violent scene for the Shootist, where Hugh O'Brien has to stick his face out, and John Wayne shoots him in the forehead. And I always thought that's a cool story. And I remember whoever it was, the director said, well, Clint Eastwood would have shot him in the back. And John Wayne said, I don't care what that kid's doing. I never shot anybody in the back. I beg to differ, Mr. John Wayne. You shot 3 people in the back in the Shootist, and they mentioned it. They made a big deal out of it. The late Mr. Futterman was shot in the back. So, anyway, on with my rant there. Let's see. Natalie, he's talking about Natalie Wood, was a cutie. 2 Guns said Festus was in it, singing and playing. Yes, Ken Curtis, a younger Ken Curtis, before he fell out of favor with John Ford for divorcing his daughter, or whatever the story was on his way to being a big movie star, and he played Charlie McCory. Let's see. Shop Monkey said, took me forever to realize that guy was Festus. I heard a weird voice, or had a weird voice. Shop Monkey said it was like when you realize that Larry the Cable Guy isn't actually named Larry, nor does he actually talk like that. Or Red Green. Yeah. Britt Johnson was a real legend, says McLean 51. 2 Guns 59 said, I like the old mystery drifter that would show up out of nowhere. JM 1911 said, weird glitch, but I'm here now. Cool. McLean 51 said Cynthia Ann Parker was who the girl is based on, I believe. Yes, I think you're right. Shop Monkey said, it was my first adult Western was The Rifleman. There was a lineup of Lassie, The Lone Ranger, Green Acres, The Rifleman, and it was bedtimes. Jolly Jake Levels in says, apologies for my lateness. 2 Guns 59 said, Hombre. I think he's talking about the Paul Newman movie. Triple Drifter South Post said, or Timber Drifter South Post said, I said, Angel and the Badman and Hondo were the first Westerns I remember. And they're good Westerns, but they don't hold a candle to the Searchers. McLean said, my first John Wayne movie was Big Jake. Once again, great Western. In my opinion, don't hold a candle to the Searchers. 2 Guns said, this is going to be once a week. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Hello from Southeast Ohio. 2 Guns said, YouTube watcher Southeast Ohio. And they say, watch that knife. Yeah, watch that knife. All right, so we're through the comments. We got quite a few people in here, guys. Let's break it down. Opening scene. Stranger rides in out of the desert, and the very first two people we see on screen together are Ethan Edwards and Martha. John Wayne playing Ethan Edwards. As a kid, I caught on real quick. These two got something between them that's not stated, right?
Mm.
And I think that as the years have gone by, a lot of people have caught on to there's something going on here that's not stated, right? It's there's something, and I even read the other day, somebody commented that it's pretty obvious that Debbie might be Ethan's daughter, the youngest girl. Any thoughts on that? I mean, it seems like it. It really does seem like it.
Yeah. Like I said, I only watched it for the first time last night. I looked into it, and there was I guess it's a whole discussion about that.
Yeah.
It could be because, right when, Ethan's taking out the door, he's talking to his brother's wife, and, there's little, they got a little gaze at each other, like, yeah, something's going on.
Something was up here. And it kind of throws into a point a little bit later. Obviously, young Ben asks, where have you been? And he says, the war's over. And he said the war ended 3 years ago, which sets us in 1868, which it says that in the very beginning, too.
Yeah.
And right after that, Aaron, his brother, says, you're my brother, Ethan. And John Wayne gets this feeling like, I'm not welcome here. Like this tension is like going on. Like there's something happened between these brothers, probably over this woman. And that was why he took out. And then it's kind of revealed that he's probably been robbing Yankee banks for 3 years.
Yeah.
As a good Southern man should.
Unminted gold. And he has a lot of it. And he's just throwing it around. So I don't know. I was wondering what you guys' takes were on that whole situation between Martha and Ethan.
It could be, and it could also, lead into the fact of when, Debbie later in the movie says, she's with her people now, she's Comanche, and, first thing Ethan does is, take her out because he's seen what Comanches do to, settlers like Martin's mother.
Yeah.
And one thing I didn't notice until I saw a short, because now YouTube's giving me all kind of short videos of the searchers, is Debbie at the beginning of the raid, the gravestone she's by says Martin's mom's name.
I actually, let me pull that up because a lot of people miss that. And I missed it until just recently, and I read it online. I actually freeze framed it on the grave. Here lies Mary Jane Edwards, killed by Comanches, May 12th of 1852, a good wife and mother in her 41st year. And it's only there for like a frame.
Yeah.
And that prop builds Ethan Edwards' character.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he like this? Because he's just surly and mean as can be right from the get-go. If everybody except for the kids. Right? And you start to realize where this hatred is born. This hatred was born, if it's 68, this hatred was born, 14 years before?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And something else to take from this is his brother Aaron is absolutely unprepared for a Comanche raid. Has there just been no Comanche trouble? Because he should very well be like, we should be ready for this.
Yeah, you would think so.
But anyway, all right, let's get into some of these characters. Let's start at some of the later stuff. Let's start with some of the smaller characters in this. And let's rearm them. And I actually wrote to Doug Dukes about this, and thinking back, I should have just had him on this chat, but we did a little bit of discussion on what Texas Rangers or this security at the time, especially right after the war, what they would have been carrying for firearms, and he had some pretty good insights. But let's start out with some of the smaller characters. Let's start out with...
Real quick, Garrett, speaking of Doug Dukes, I got his book. Oh, my God, that's a good book. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good book. I recommend every person who especially into Old West firearms, even if you're not huge into the like Texas Rangers.
Yeah, grab it right there.
It's the gun that makes this. His stories are based on like the gun and what it did, not just like a person who happened to have. It was all these really cool valor stories with the gun kind of at the. This is what he was using, how he used it, kind of situation. I love this book.
You know what?
I wish there were more like it.
A couple of weeks ago, not all the way through, but I was reading it, and I was reading about Rip Ford.
Mm.
And automatically in my mind, I pictured, even though it's not exactly correct, I pictured the top hat and the long white coat of Ward Bond in this movie. And that's when I started rewatching it. I watched it 3 times in the last like 4 weeks. So
I highly recommend this book for any person who hasn't.
Show it to the screen, Snapper. Is it right there behind you, isn't it?
This book. There.
Firearms of the Texas Rangers.
Highly recommend this book. It's, like I said, it's some good reading. Like, really good reading.
Yep. I have a copy too, but it's on the table in the kitchen. Okay, so let's start with one of the really small characters, which he's not the smallest character, but he's probably the least important we're going to talk about today. How about we talk about the late Mr. Futterman?
Hello.
Let's see if I can get this figured out to where we can all be in this picture. Well, where'd everybody go? Yeah, it's a little
Super Mario.
Yeah. I know what it looks like. Okay.
Mario in the Old West.
So the late Mr. Futterman, that means he's dead by golly, is actually a trader on the Upper Brazos River in 1868, which means that he's out there, right? In my mind, he's way out there. He's not protected by the army or civilization or anything. And I believe the only gun we see him fire is a 92 Winchester when he tries to ambush Ethan and Martin off the hill.
That's why he died. His gun hadn't existed yet.
His gun was just a figment of his imagination.
Yeah.
Oh, so all right. Let's start with you, Sheldon. We're armoring an outfitter. He runs a trading post. So he obviously trades with Comanches and the Kiowa because that's where he gets the dress. What's a trader going to be armed with at the time, just as his personal handgun and rifle?
To me, he would honestly be like the better armed of the bunch out there because he is a trader. Yep. But it depends on how far out he is. Like, he could have, he would have what, guess he can get his hands on, what would probably be the better stuff. Because this scene, does it take place in 68 or 69?
It takes place in 69, I believe, because it says a year, maybe actually 2 years, because at one point Lori says right before this scene, she says she's been waiting on this wind scour for 2 years. So this is 1870-ish, give or take.
So he could definitely have surplus Colts on him, armies, navies, whatnot.
Yeah.
And since he's a trader and by looks at a wealthy trader,
I know where you're going here.
You could have like a 66 if he had wanted, or if if he's a man to like his firearms, which not everyone back then was.
Yeah.
He could have had a Manhattan or Cooper double action Colt copy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Those little Coopers, those are pretty cool. Yeah.
Let's give him that. Let's give him that.
Yeah. I think that would be a good small pistol, like everyday carry around while you're at work pistol.
I'm gonna see if I can grab a picture right quick. Let's see if I can do it.
It basically is like a pocket navy.
Yeah.
That is double action. They're super cool. I've been wanting to get one for years, and they just kind of want to slip out of my fingers.
I agree with you, though. That's exactly what was going through my head. Is he's going to have a 66 because
that was my first thought. Either that or a.
You could have a Henry.
Henry. That's exactly what I was going to.
He could, but let's reserve
the. Maybe Henry. Even a Spencer. It's possible a Spencer, but I would think.
Let's reserve the Henry a little bit.
Okay.
All right. I think a 66 would be the most reasonable.
66, Sheldon?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's armed with 66 and 2 double action cap and ball revolvers, which I believe would be perfectly fine. obviously he's a man who lives by his guns and cares about his guns because he's willing to literally go out and everybody in the country seems to know who Ethan Edwards is, but he's got, I don't know if he's just stupid or brave, but he goes and attempts to ambush Ethan Edwards for supposedly $1,000 of gold that he has on his person, he thinks.
Yeah.
So he is definitely living by his guns. Oop, everybody's on a...
This was one I saw recently, and he could have it. Like I said, if he's a man who likes his guns, it could be the Manhattan, double action, or Cooper. I keep getting them mixed up because they look the same, and they're just Colts.
Yeah, the Manhattan is a single action with 12 stops in the cylinder.
Yeah, the Manhattan is basically like a copy of the Colt. In a way. Yeah, and the Cooper is completely different, but imagine a pocket Navy with double action.
Yeah, I seen on the Cinnabars video where you make the spring for it. But I seen this one on CN Arsenal, and it was if he was a man who, obviously they understandable to be more out east than being out in the middle of nowhere, Texas.
Okay, yeah.
Now I could also see him possibly even having like Smith & Wesson top break earlier.
Yeah, an American, the American, number 3, it came out 68, 69. You definitely.
I can see that because especially if you had a 66 and you're starting to get really used to this idea of, hey, ammo's pretty nice, pretty quick.
I'm willing to give him though the Coopers, the double action Colt style guns. Because let's save some of these other guns for some of the more
interesting.
Yeah, we can use them. We can use them for everybody, but let's give everybody.
He is late, so these guns could.
Yeah.
Eventually, somebody else.
Real quick, one thing I wanted to say was, seeing Arsenal had a little short on it, and it was a 32 rimfire revolver that came out like 61 or 62. It didn't last too long because Roland likes patented, but.
Huh. Yeah.
If he was the man to like his firearms, he could have got a hold of one of those.
Yeah.
Because it has like a quasi swing out cylinder.
Well, the Smith & Wesson 2 and the Smith & Wesson 1.5 were both out in 32 rimfire as well at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And what I see it as a trader
is a man who is living by his firearms like that is probably going to consider those kind of a mouse gun for Western Texas at the time. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to get in the Coopers. I like that. 2 Coopers and a 66.
Now, my biggest thing would be for him is he would possibly have the newest, more powerful, because of the fact being a trader, he's trading constantly. And imagine people coming in from the east to the west.
Yeah.
They're broke, or they weren't broke, but they lost everything on their way there. And now the only thing they have left is their firearms.
Yeah.
Anything from like the nicest, newest, best out there, and you think that would be very easy to get your hands on as a trader because I'm sure you're going to come across desperate people who weren't desperate 6 months ago. They're extremely desperate today.
Yep.
And you'd be able to trade into the nicest stuff you could get, especially out on the frontier.
A lot of people, though, still aren't trusting of cartridges at the time for like.
That is true.
Well, I mean, if he's got a 66, he obviously does, but.
Right.
It could be, he probably has, he could afford them and afford the ammo for them, and then also offer to sell them just by his inflated prices being all the way out there for any traveler.
Yep. All right, so let's give a quick rundown on him. And now that we've got him armed with a couple Coopers and a 66, the late Mr. Futterman runs a trading post on the Brazos. He does some trading with a Kiowa, which it winds up being that he got a dress that was Debbie's. He sends for Ethan and Martin. Ethan Martin come in, give him $20 of what's supposed to be $1,000 reward. And it looks to him like Ethan's got the $1,000 on him and just not giving it up. So as soon as Ethan leaves, he sets out to ambush him in one of the better comedy scenes of the whole movie. What if you'd missed? Thought never occurred to me. Which he's very lucky he didn't aim for Martin before he aimed for Ethan. That's all I can say.
Right.
Because he got a shot off. Okay, so Two Guns said Yellow Boy. I would say Colt 49 pocket. The Shop Monkey said 49 pocket 66 Winchester. McLean said probably some cap lock rifles, shotguns, 51, 60 Colts, few Remingtons, too. He's talking about guns all over. Ethan is made of money. Yes, Ethan is literally made of money in this movie. Spiller and Burr, LOL. I thought about that too.
Ooh. I didn't think about Spiller and Burr.
I was going to bring it over here, Caleb Spiller and Burr over here, but then I didn't.
One thing I didn't think of is the shotgun aspect, because especially being a trader, it's a lot easier to defend yourself with a shotgun.
Well, he obviously probably has a shotgun and everything.
Yeah,
else,
but it's probably not going to be like your gunfighting.
He's not packing farmer guns, not as a trader.
No, not as a trader.
J6 again said 1860 Army and 66 Winchester. That'd be a good combination for him, really would. Shot Monkey said maybe a Smith & Wesson Model 1 is a vest pistol. That is very possible. Two Gun said I stole his 66 saddle ring. Timber Drifter said Sheldon mentioned some great gun channels. McLean said 51 said I wouldn't have a 32 if I'm on the frontier, maybe as a backup. I just cut down 60 Army. That's a good point. And Dwayne Harshaw says hello from Alberta. All right, so we've armed Mr. Futterman. 2 Cooper cap and ball revolvers, double action, and a 66 Winchester, which I honestly...
And for everybody, remember the Cooper is a basically 51 Navy. It's not... It's the pocket Navy size.
Yeah.
So it's a 38.
I should have grabbed a picture of it, but I don't have one here real handy. Let's see. Let's go back to me.
I didn't even bring my pocket Navy down. It's upstairs.
All right, let's arm the next guy that's kind of a smaller character, and that would be Ethan's brother, Aaron. He doesn't last very long in the movie. Obviously, he is massacred in the first raid. Before he goes out on the raid, he tells Martha, I'm going to go hunt some quail. And he grabs a break-open single-shot shotgun from above the door and a Colt single-action Army out of a holster beside the door and heads out. Ben comes in with Ethan's saber and says, I'm scared. And that's when this whole scene that Sheldon was talking about, a.k.a. that, occurs. And he comes back in and he sets the shotgun down and he puts little Debbie out the window and tells her to go hide in the graveyard, which is not a bad idea. Unfortunately, Chris the dog ruins everybody's best laid plans. So, anyway, he's armed at the time with a break-open shotgun, which there were pinfire shotguns around. This particular scene takes place in 1868. There were pinfire shotguns around, but nothing like what he's breaking open here, in my opinion. Got any thoughts, guys?
I think he would just had either an old Fowler piece or just because even there were double barrel shotguns available for trade back then. It probably would have been a little bit more expensive than your regular Fowler. But
what do you guys think about this? How about a cheap Martin percussion double?
The perfect. That's what I was personally going for. Would be a double that is percussion. Muzzle loader.
Yep. I feel like this would be a good choice because
farmer gun.
This is an English import, cheap. This one's actually made in between 65 and 69, so it's time period correct.
You could have the exact one.
Those things are so much fun. I love mine. I have the Damascus barrel one from Belgium. I think it's from Belgium, but it's so much fun.
And the thing is, Aaron is not a warrior. Like he is not ready for this at all. And you think he should be because obviously his mom was killed in a Comanche raid in 1852, according to the tombstone that we looked at earlier. I think he's just a farmer. He doesn't care. I mean, he's a rancher, obviously. I don't know how he's raising cows in that desert, but somehow he's raising cows. And I think
he's a man of the future, Garrett. He's got a single action army. I'm just saying.
Okay.
1860. What was it? 1868, 69?
Yeah.
68.
He's a man of the future. You know?
But I think that since he's going out to hunt quail and he says he's going to hunt quail, maybe he has a single shotgun. But I think this is a good choice for a farmer at the time.
Yeah, I think
that's the best choice.
12 gauge double barrel percussion. So you think we can all settle that that's a good choice for Aaron?
Yeah.
That was probably the most common, shotgun out at the time.
Yeah. Now, there's one thing I got to say, and Doug Dukes mentioned this. At the time, there was a saying there were more 51 Navies in Texas than there were men, right? So we could easily just give everybody 51 Navies and it would be historically correct. But we got to have some variety here. And I don't want to give a good 51 Navy to one of the smaller characters. So what do you guys
I get that.
What are you guys thinking? Something He's not dependent on his guns for his life at all. Like,
You know what I would see? A vest pistol, a very small, like 22 caliber vest pistol.
Well, that'd be expensive though because it'd be a cartridge gun.
Honestly, I know you want to say the 51 Navy, but I think he would either have that or a 49 pocket just because they're older at that point.
Yeah.
And
I'm with you on that. I'm with you. I was literally thinking that. Why would this guy not just have a 49 pocket model in a drawer and a double barrel 12 gauge percussion shotgun?
I mean, the 49 pocket did sell very well. I mean, it is out there.
Yeah. And he's not counting on a pistol for hardly anything, I don't think.
No.
That's probably a bump in the night / self-protection at the very least. Probably never expect to need it, but have it.
Yeah.
Lives its life in the sock drawer kind of gun.
So should we settle for the percussion shotgun in the 49 pocket for Aaron?
Yeah.
Move on.
I'd say that makes sense.
Okay, so he has his... I mean, because he's not living by his guns. He doesn't care. He doesn't wear a gun. I mean, he hides Ethan's gold under the cushion of his chair, for crying out loud. This guy is not prepped for anything. So I'm with that. I'm with that.
He's the guy out there telling everybody they should give up their guns while living in Indian territory.
Average American farmer, rancher Joe at the time. He hasn't fought the Civil War. He doesn't want to kill anybody. He doesn't want to be involved. He doesn't want to go rangering without his coffee. He doesn't want to do anything. Okay, let's get through a few comments here before we move on. McLean said, I just cut Essex Army. Doug Dukes. Hi, Doug. We were just talking about you talking. And I know that Doug is more informed on this. And so anytime you've got a suggestion, Doug, shout it out there in the comments, because we're talking here your era, Texas in the 1860s. So the Shop Monkey said 51 Navy paper cutter sharps. Oh yeah, that's why I was hoping Duke would be on here. He was going to have that to show. Let's see. Okay, Turkey Creek said he's here. He just can't figure out how to chat. Okay. Let's see. Doug Duke said, just made it. Sorry, I'm late. The Shop Monkey said 51 Navy, paper cutter sharp, sporting rifle, and percussion shotgun. He might be talking about earlier, but if we're talking about Aaron, I think that's way too good arm for Aaron.
Yeah, I don't see him having that.
The Shop Monkey said, good point with him not being ready to fight. Just a shotgun and maybe an old long rifle from back east. Yeah? Okay, I'm with you there. I'm genuinely here. Forgot all about it. I think you meant to say I'm finally here. Ozark Mountain Hunter, good to have you. McLean 51 said Aaron would maybe have a 10-gauge percussion shotgun and a cap lock rifle, maybe an old Patterson. That's pretty good. Give Aaron a star, Doug Duke says. You're going to give him better Civil War revolvers, double action.
Yeah, honestly, it kind of fit probably more than the Manhattan or the Cooper would.
Well, it would, but I'm confident to give him the 49 pocket model just for his unpreparedness.
Yeah, that's true. That was the most common Colt you'd find at that time.
It's cool. It's a good thought. But for Aaron, I just don't see him spending money on a double action 44, which maybe they're cheap after the war, but
I'd say he did have a 49 pocket.
I like the 49
I would have loved to have seen the gun market right after the Civil War. That would have been so cool.
Glutted with Remingtons.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's go back in.
Matter of fact, when it comes to the people who aren't gun people, I actually see it to be more likely that just after the Civil War, the Remington was all over the place for sale for really cheap. It's likely they would probably have a Remington.
Yeah. Let's talk about a guy who would run a star, though, probably at this time. Sergeant Charlie McCory, who runs with the Texas Rangers. Obviously, he's a sergeant. Ward Baum called him Sergeant McCory in a whole lot of scenes. And obviously, he has a 92 Winchester and a 73 single action like almost everybody else through this film.
Man of the future.
But he is in just about every fight scene in this movie, for the most part, except for maybe one. And he equips himself well. He's always right there next to Martin in the fights, and then he is fighting Martin in the end. All right, this guy is looking at his clothes. Obviously, this is his wedding, but even in other scenes, this is a well-to-do young guy. Like, he's not bad off. He's been doing this, whatever he's doing, for a while. He has a guitar. He has a carriage at the time, not just a cowboy with a horse. He can afford to buy Lori candy. He has a bowler and a nice suit. The guy he's got an excellent saddle early on. So he's got money from somewhere. So this guy lives by his guns. Charlie McCory. He's not the brightest, not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but he absolutely lives by his guns. What are we going to do? What do you do, Sheldon?
First off, I say he'd have a pocket piece, which would be like a number 2 Smith & Wesson.
Yeah.
You see, he seems like a Winchester guy or Henry, but I'd say Spencer.
Okay.
I know as much as you don't want to, he seems a Remington guy.
You know what?
He was a non-commissioned officer. How dare you?
I'll give you the Spencer. That seems pretty common, especially at 65 for a guy who seems to have his kind of money. But wouldn't you think a Remington would be more for a guy who don't have a lot of money at the time?
That's what I would think.
Just a thought.
And being that he's an NCO, he's a sergeant. We don't know what he did in the military. He could have been a mail clerk for all we know. I mean, he's in the Texas Rangers, so he's fighting. He's an Indian fighter. Well-to-do off Indian fighter, right?
Yeah.
I 100% think he's got a lever-action rifle. 100%. Spencer-wise or Henry or Winchester.
I give him a Spencer. Let's give him a Spencer. Spencers are new.
Okay, let's roll the Spencer.
And
I
the
say
only reason why
1860
I'm saying
Army
Remington
pistol.
is because it seems like if he was out in the West, I'm only going. Please, just my limited knowledge of what 11 OVC did is, a lot more Remingtons are out West than they were out in the East. So it seems like he would have a carryover from his service if he was out West.
You know what? I'm with you because I was gonna do Brad. And I was seriously thinking Brad didn't have a lot of money, but he does, thinking about it, because his dad is Lars, owns the big cattle ranch. So he probably have a pretty good gun. Martin's not going to have anything because it's said at one point he has no money for cartridges even.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to give it to you. How about we give the good old Remington New Model Army to Charlie McCory? Let's give him a brace of them. And he can fight with those. And let's give him an 1865 Spencer like this. Because he's a man who has money and lives by his guns at the same time. Not made of money like Ethan is, but, obviously the Spencer, lever action, a lot more power than some of the other lever action guns at the time, but you got to cock the hammer. Are we good with that? Are we good with Remingtons and the Spencer?
No, he's an NCO, sir. We didn't have Blackie's gun butter back then. We couldn't just run a Remington constantly.
Okay. Let's split the difference.
No, I'll give him that. I'll give him that.
No, I'm with you. Let's give him one Remington and one Star so that he can chain fire with both hands.
Perfect. Beautiful. Fully loaded 12 rounds at once.
Yep. He's got a Remington, he's got a Star, and he's got a Spencer carbine.
Call it the volley.
Let's give him a Spencer rifle.
I think the Spencer fits. It fits.
What about the rifle versus the carbine? Okay, because he's on horse.
Oh.
Not carbine.
Yeah, I'd say carbine.
Okay, so we've got Charlie McCory armed. We have Aaron armed. We have the late Mr. Futterman armed. That means he's dead, by golly.
What should have... we planned this a little bit better, and if I, had the thought ahead of time, was have like a list. I have like the pictures of the person, type in what we're giving them. Oh.
Yeah. Doug Duke says, I don't think of the Star as being an upgrade. Charlie would have a 51 Navy or 60 Army. Well, let's save those for the bigger characters. Okay. Let's see. All right, you know what? I'm retracting the Star. I think he's right. Let's
Sounds
give
good.
him a 51 Navy. He's your typical Texas Ranger, younger sergeant at the time. Let's give him a Remington and a 51 Navy.
One is to shoot and one to continue shooting.
Oh, here's the difference. He has a regular Sheldon Blunthorn 51 Navy. Some richer characters might have a nickel-plated 51 Navy.
Ooh.
I think your Captain.
Well, we would be looking into the 1870s then, because I don't think nickel plating came out like.
Silver plating, nickel plating,
Silver.
all the same thing.
Silver plated.
Okay, let's get through a few comments. Let's see here. Can you imagine the absolute? Or Timber said, can you imagine the absolute plethora of guns that any of us might be armed with at the moment? Everything from cap and ball to AR-15. Yeah, that's true. People in the chat. McLean said, a rusty old dragoon. Charlie fooled us all, the shot monkey said. He has a secret gun hidden in his guitar. When plays a certain chord, it shoots.
He has a Tommy gun in his guitar. He is a man of the future, of course.
He is. He's a mariachi, some might say. JG Six Gun says an old blunderbuss. Derringer Plus says 2 guns. What are we talking about with Charlie? Doesn't he court the girl for a few years? Yeah, he does. He almost marries her, except for the miraculous movie timing of having Martin show up literally seconds before they get hitched. Okay. Shot Monkey said, what year are we talking about with Charlie? Doesn't he court the girl for a few years? Yeah. And it's after the 2-year statement, because that happens before they leave for the second time. So it's anywhere from 70 to, you're going to say it takes them about a year to get the court, and then I would imagine. So let's say it's anywhere from 70 to 73. McLean 51 said Sergeant McCory would have 2 60 Army revolvers and a Henry. Let's not give all the good guns to the.
I'm just saying he's got a point. He's an NCO. He's a sergeant. He knows what he's doing.
That's why we gave.
He's a fighting man. The guy that's actually on the ground fighting. Now I can see if he was an officer, maybe a little different.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'll give what you guys already got. I'll let that stand.
We went with a Remington, a 51 Navy, and a Spencer carbine 1865 model.
I mean, it's not like you're totally SOL with the Spencer.
No.
It's not that bad.
He has more knockdown because they're still shooting buffalo a lot in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I would take a Spencer over some of the rimfire guns for buffalo, I would think.
And I would 100% think that.
Too, but I mean, some of the smaller.
We're going to start seeing the trapdoor real soon.
You should already. Okay, Sheldon, what date was it that the railroad gave the Indians the 65 trapdoor?
I'm gonna have to look at a picture. Well, I think it was like 67, 68 that they gave those railroad workers in Kansas those 65 trapdoors.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm thinking that those ones a railroad gave those workers. Or ones that end up with those 2 Cheyennes that surrendered them over. Or surrendered them. Gave them over.
So the trapdoors around. I just don't think they're getting. I don't know how friendly and trading the Cheyenne are with the Comanche, so I just don't know if they would have wound up down there yet. What do you think?
By late 60s, they were more friends than enemies.
So, okay.
Actually, they would have still had their little spats here and there, but look, medicine lodge, would have happened. Yeah. And they would have been on more equal terms because they're starting to get the idea of, hey, we can't be fighting each other because there's, we need to band together.
I was just pointing that the 65, I'm not going to get it and take it down, is right there. So, anyway, all right. So, let's get through some of these comments. Shop Monkey said maybe a 60 Army conversion. He could have had. Those won't really come in until about 71. 70,
yeah, 70. Around 70, 71 is when you really start to see them come out.
And one thing, and Sheldon and I have talked about this a lot too, I don't like to give people in historical provenance especially a gun that is out the year it's made.
Right. Mm-hmm. You would have to be like the guy, that guy on the range who has the newest thing constantly. That's going to be the only person you would see with something
He'd
like
be standing right outside of
that.
Colts
Yep.
asking him every day, "When you got the new pistol?"
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, I will say that
He's
by
the
the
guy
end
who
of the
camps out in
movie-
front of the gun store waiting 24 hours prior to it opening to walk
Right.
in and buy his Colt. Yeah.
It's probably by the end of the movie, which is in the book, it actually goes up to 76, I think. But by the end of the movie, we're talking 74, 75. Then, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So he
There were
could have
plenty around at that time.
yeah, Doug, old reliable Philadelphia Derringer, possibly. Yeah, maybe in his guitar. Somebody said to Lamette, "We're not going to be that mean to anybody in this movie."
That's evil.
Oh,
It
Kevin
is such a
Paul
cool
Lamette.
gun, but when you mess with one, it is so wide. It's so big. And
Yeah.
it's so ungainly. Like, I thought I was going to love the Lamette. I think it's such a cool gun. I love the locking system in the gun. It's so neat. But it's one of those guns that you think you're really going to love, and you get your hands on it, and you're just like, meh.
Yep. Hey,
It's just so unusable.
Jay Stone's in. He said, use the Remington as a club after the first cylinder.
Right.
That's why he has the Navy. Okay. Timber Drifter said, if you can't run one, then a pair will have to do. 58s, that is. Yeah, that's why you have two Remingtons, so that when the first one gets stuck.
I'm going to start the myth now that the Remington has a top strap to make it a better club, so you don't bend it.
Yeah.
That's the reason they went with it. Not because it's stronger, because they were noticing after the cylinder locked up and you started fighting, it bent real easy, so they had to add the top strap. Putting that lore in the game right now.
One in a card game. Don't forget about the conversions. We won't. We'll get to some guys that would be having a conversion, especially later on. All right. So we've armed these minor characters. Let's bring out one of my. Okay. Let's go. First, let's do Secretries. Sheldon, what are we going to arm Scar with?
Well, he's German, so you got to give him, a dry rifle.
Let's erase that part of the story. Hey, that's Quanah Parker, man. Have a little respect. Looks just like you, don't it? I don't know about that paint scheme either.
Nah, that's your 50s Hollywood.
Hey, he's got one of them shiny metal things that you like to mess around with so much around his neck.
That's just the conscious show.
So, Chief of the Comanche, obviously you're not Comanche, but at the time, pretty generalized. What are we going to arm him with? Let's arm him in 68, not later on in 74.
In 68, you would just have most likely a trade rifle, Lehman, or some random smoothbore trade gun.
Yep.
You don't think he would have had like a trapdoor by that time?
No.
An early trapdoor?
No, he wouldn't.
I mean, it would be very uncommon.
And even if he had it, he would have probably only used it till the ammo was gone and distort it.
Yeah.
He would have been having his bow and arrow. He would have had his bow and arrow more because Comanches were probably the best tribe with a bow and arrow on the plains. And he would have had that. He would have his bow and arrow. If he had a gun, it would have just been like a generic trade gun or generic mil-serp muzzleloader of the time. If he had a pistol, which I doubt, it would most likely have been another mil-serp cut down, because those got turned into pistols pretty quick.
Yeah, there were only 500. Was it about 500 given to the Indians on the railroad of the 65s, or was it 50?
They weren't given to Indians; they were given to railroad workers to deter Indian attacks.
And yet somehow the natives wound up with them.
I think they, chased some people, killed them, and then
gotcha.
And then they got a hold of them. Like I said, I doubt he would have got one. Obviously, we can't tell what. Obviously, what the majority of the guns that the Comanches had when they surrendered, but being 68, that's what, a year or 2 years after Medicine Lodge, or the year of Medicine Lodge.
Yeah, a year after.
He would have probably had a Lehman if they gave him, or if they gave him a revolver. It would have been a Remington, because the Remingtons were the ones the Army was trying to get rid of.
Yep.
And
maybe
he probably would.
Remington.
Maybe. cut down seem to be more later, like especially when they're put on like the agencies or hang around the agencies.
You gotta
Now
hide them.
that's the other thing is they do talk about agency, so he would have
Yeah.
had no issue getting what he needed to keep the gun going, but it would have been a muzzle loader just because the cartridge it would not have worked. He could have tried to finagle to get a cartridge to work, but
Yeah.
I doubt that.
I have a question for you. What if you had to look at the typical, Indian at that time? Do you think that they would trade their guns around a lot, or do you think it's something you get it and you keep it for a very, very long time?
They would trade it. I'm trying to remember who. I think it was either White Bull, the Itajicho, or I know that Two Leggings Crow, native. I think they both mentioned getting used flintlock rifles from older warriors, and I think that Two Leggings mentions his was like real beat up and kind of held together. And remember reading another one, and he said his was another like old flint gun that was just beat to crap, and but it still worked.
So pistol wise, it'd probably be more likely we would see a cap and ball single shot pistol like the earlier before like the revolver showed up.
I don't know, because by the time, especially like Futterman and all that's already happening.
I mean, yeah,
there's
get their hands on
a lot of Remingtons showing up in native hands by that point.
And the thing is even that during like Futterman, majority of the tribe, the warriors, they all ran in with bows, arrows, spears, clubs, hatchets, using what they have, and that's what the majority of it was. That White Bull, he mentions he doesn't remember seeing anyone with a gun. Just because you have to think about it in a raid, you shoot your muzzleloader, it takes a normal person a minute to reload. While these Comanches and some other tribes, my tribe with the Comanches, they can unleash like their equivalent of arrows, because they'll have usually one ready on the string to go, and they might have like 3 to 5 more in their hand. They can shoot all 5 of those quicker than it would take a man to settler to reload.
Normally reload once. Yeah.
And the Comanches again were who was that? Was it Reno or Crook saying the Sioux were the finest light cavalrymen in the world? I think the Comanches were, because the Comanches were even lighter and they were quicker on their horses. And yeah, I think
one weapon that we're not overlooking, because it's the weapon that is starred with Scar through the whole thing, is his lance. They talk about that lance, and he has scalps from everybody hung on that lance, men, women, children. It's like there's scalps all over that lance.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing, is cicatrice or Scar's lance. So that's a big thing. So I think I think you're right. I like, because every picture you see, take for instance the Laramie Treaty Laramie 68. You see Lehmans are in those pictures. A bunch of them.
One picture I like is it's a group of men and a kid. They're standing around a cow, just a regular cattle. They was probably with some beef that was issued during the treaty. The kid, he's standing there with a Springfield, surplus musket.
And there's a good point. JAG 6 gun brings up Northwest trade gun. Now, the only thing I'm going to say is, I feel like, and I might be wrong on this, I'd have to confer with several people, maybe even Turkey Creek. I feel like the smoothbore in the South is more often the trade guns at this point would be an old Brown Bess.
Yeah.
I feel like the Northwest gun was more for the more common northern tribes, but I might be wrong on that.
It could be like there's still some around, but with the Comanches, they're probably dealing with Comancheros, and Mexicans more, and Mexicans usually had like surplus old
Brown Besses.
Yeah, that's what they were probably willing to give. But from what I understand, the Mexicans were not very enthused about arming the natives.
I wonder why.
What's kind of funny is I went to the have a museum in Henderson, and they actually have a Southwest trade gun in the museum. That's the only gun they had for natives.
I never seen a Southwest trade gun before.
I mean, Northwest. I'm retarded. Retarded.
I know. It's right. It's right. I just see a lot of those guys that do that era of reenactment and living history tend to have like a brown vest because that's what the Mexican military was armed with for many, many years. So
you think that would be the common, especially in Texas at that time?
And McLean says he has a cut down brown vest his father took off of Mexican soldiers. That very well could be.
Nice.
But I am with you on the Lehman rifle though, because by 68, especially in the hands of a chief, I think he would have a better. I don't think he would settle for the trade gun.
Now, if Scar was, raiding all kind of people, doesn't care who, he could have raided, well-to-do person. So he could have definitely had, top of the line. But as soon as his cartridges run out,
66.
Yeah.
But as soon as his cartridges run out, he's gonna be kind of hurt.
But yeah, I think let's give him something more common. I'm with you. Let's give him the Lehman because the Lehman's so common. And somebody asked earlier, Hawken. There were 20 Lehmans out there for every Hawken, and they were half the price. And they were nice rifles, too. And they just, especially when you see the pictures of the treaties at Laramie and places like that, the Lehmans they're everywhere. At least in 2 or 3 pictures I've seen from that. And just looking at records of the trade guns themselves, I think the Lehman is definitely common. What did we give him? We give him a Remington handgun. Now, what do you think? Do you think he'd have a brace of handguns? Or just one?
It's hard to say. Like I said, I don't know if he would even have a handgun.
Yeah.
Well, if he is just raiding all kind of people, then he could have had a brace.
Yeah. Evidently, he's been raiding since Martin's mom died, and he was found under a tree by Ethan, so he's not as young as he looks.
Well, it could be the thing of, he went on the raid when he was 14, 16 years old and skipped it up.
Yeah. And in the movie, by the way, at least in the very last scene in the TP, he has a 92 Winchester. So
yeah,
we'll just throw that out there. He's another man of the future. Okay. Northwest Trade Gun, rifle only and big knife, 2-gun says. That might not be too far off. 2-gun said assault flinter. Okay, so we've armed him. Let's look for kind of ratcheting up here. All right, let's do my favorite. Well, my second favorite, Mose. He's got my favorite gun in this whole movie, as you can see right there.
Can't.
That is a Jenkins. Or a Jenkins mule ear side hammer percussion rifle.
Yeah, I think it would be, or it would be something he still carries. So yeah, I think he already armed himself pretty good.
It's not that old, actually. It's an 1850s, 40s, 50s technology.
Yeah.
And he carries it and he shoots it one time. And then when he's out of ammo, he grabs Martin's 92 Winchester from him and goes to blazing left-handed and just loving every minute of it. And this character, and I was talking to Doug Dukes about this character is so subtle, even though he's, he acts crazy and everything. What happened to him? Because why in the world would the Rangers take a mentally impaired man whose mind is just broken, and an old man everywhere they go? And they love him. Even Ethan loves him. Every time he talks about Mose, he starts smiling. And so I think this character has roots, and Doug Dukes was the one who said probably in the Texas Revolution. We're talking the 30s, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna pull. We all get an executive card here, and I'm gonna pull an executive card here. We're gonna leave him armed with that Jenkins, or however it's pronounced. And by the way, that one loads just like the Merrill monkey tail loader. That one he has in the movie, which if I can ever get this in the right position, you open it up and insert a paper cartridge from the back, and then you have a side mule ear side hammer. And it's got military-style bands, so you can pop the barrel off. It's a really cool gun. Duke and I did some research on it the other day, so I'm wishing he was here. But Mose has been around since, a long time, probably since the Texas Revolution, War for Texas Independence. My trump card here, and I won't take no for an answer, is this dude is still carrying his Patterson.
I'd see that. I could see that. If he is, in the lore that he was in the Texas Revolution, I could see it. Ended up as a Ranger, ended up back with that after the Texas Revolution.
Yep.
He kept his original one the whole time. And being that he's mentally off, I mean, could you imagine fighting Indians that long?
Yeah. And
he's a morale booster.
Supposing he was in the Black Bean episode, because he's with these guys for forever.
Yeah.
And even the old men in the Ranger group, they kind of snicker a little bit, but they respect him. Even Ethan, he gets so excited when he sees that sombrero on that mule's head at the cantina in Mexico. And Mose, he says he's all excited. Except
he's that old school morale boost NCO style person.
Yeah. The only thing is, Mose, by the end, does not care for Ethan at all. He only cares for Marty. Because Ethan promised him his rocking chair and didn't give it to him. A quick note I noticed, and I watched this movie so many times and I don't know why I never noticed this. At one point, Captain Clayton gets a black coat and a black hat. Really nice setup in the mid-1870s. In the last scene, you see Moses sitting in the rocking chair wearing his old white coat and his old beat-up black top hat, or gray top hat. So somehow Mose inherited all Captain Clayton's clothes.
Gave him the hand-me-downs.
Yep. But I was talking to Doug Dix about that, and we were both talking about it, and we were like, okay. If, I will agree with you, Doug, if it wasn't for him already being armed with something so cool, Doug says give him a Hall carbine. Okay.
A Hall carbine?
Yeah.
That would actually be pretty cool too. Yeah.
Especially for Texas at the time. Man, I hate to throw the jinx out, but I'm kind of with you. I kind of like the Hall carbine idea. What do you guys think?
I could see it.
I could see it as him carrying something from a gun that he knows and loves.
Yep.
Especially if you've been fighting that long and you get really good with something, you're not going to trade up. Not unless it's a massive, massive difference.
I think
Mose is the type that, if it works, use it, and what he has still works for him.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's been baptized.
Yeah. He's alive this long, he knows what he's doing. So who are we to question his...
It's funny because Mose knows where everything in the country is at, too. Think about it for a minute. Of all people in that Texas Ranger outfit, who does Captain Clayton ask how far it is the river? Mose. Mose knows where Seven Fingers is when nobody else knows except for maybe Martin, just because he picked it up from some talk that they found along the trail. But Mose has been there, done that, and has the shirt. So I'm with you. Let's give him the Hall. Let's give him the Hall carbine and the Patterson. We'll just use the Jinx or the Jenkins or whatever it's pronounced as a side piece. But yeah, Chop Monkey said we can have some fun. Give him the blunderbuss.
I can see one of those sweet the swivel breech where you could multiple shots for rotating.
McLean says old Remington with 3 nipples missing. Two Gun said old friend. Yeah, they call him that. Ready for his rocking chair. Amen to the Patterson. Seeing all of his old friends die over the years probably what broke his mind. Very possible. And there was some horrendous...
Or does that to you after a long period of time?
Some horrendous stuff those guys went through early on that considered themselves Rangers or were affiliated with them.
Yeah, I mean, think about this. Most of us always, like military-wise, you always think of men being killed and slaughtered. This time it was women, children, men.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That would really mess with you.
Two Gun says get the Zouave. Now, if you're saying give that to Mose, I'd have to argue that the Zouave rifle, if it saw service at all, probably didn't get out into the civilian market until like 1900 because Bannerman bought them all and kept them and then sold them. So, but that might not be what you're saying. Mose might be carrying that old Warren Patterson I saw at a gun show, and keeping the second one nice for retirement. Okay. Seen too many scalps. Yeah, something's happened to Mose, but everybody loves him to death. Everybody loves Mose. So, all right, we're in agreement. He's got at least one Patterson, possibly two, and a Hall carbine, which makes a lot of sense.
And a Vietnam-era M60 machine gun hidden in the back.
Well, he does make pretty good use of a 92 Winchester, so he also
Yeah,
is a man of the future. See, that future 92 Winchester coming through the time vortex burned Martin's hands, and that's why he dropped it, and Mose had to pick it up and keep fighting with it.
You know, I was thinking, you know, it's the Peaky Blinders show. There's a character in there in this first season. You know, he's, you know, he's has PTSD from, you know, World War One.
The one they
but
have
the second they handed him an Enfield and had him target shoot, you know, his nerves got calm again. He just went right back into it.
Yep.
So that's what I think Moses.
And it is because Moses is a hand in a fight.
Yeah.
He's not slowing down. I love that scene where they're the war cry and John Wayne's giving this whole it's a death song. They're gonna come get us. Moses, for what we're about to receive, let us be truly thankful, Lord. And
that's why you keep a man like that around.
I used to think that's because his mind was broken, and then as I've watched it so many more times, I realized this dude has been in so much combat. I think that was literally his sense of humor rolling into it. I think that's one time, and it made sense. And I think it's because he was sitting there watching Martin about to just shaking, and he knows he's not going to hit anything. I think Mose was there for a reason because he was a pretty good calming hand on Martin during that deal.
Yeah.
And that is the most important thing. Morale is a huge difference.
Martin dropped that gun. Mose went to blazing. Okay. So, given some combat experience like you've had, Snapper, you think that's I think his character
110%. And the thing is like, it is so true. Every movie you ever see, there's usually like that one guy. Usually he's like an E4 that has been in the Army forever. Like 15 years, should be kicked out because he never made E5. But when combat hits, he's like the person that tells everybody what to do and gets around real well. That is a real thing. Like, that is a real thing. And those people are needed. They are needed badly in the military. And they always find their way to where they got to be, because it's terrifying. Every time the sound going up to combat is far more terrifying than combat itself. And somebody that can keep the nerves down, joking and just messing with people the entire time is what you do. That's the best way to do it, to get people's mind off of it. And when real combat hit, you'd be amazed how unscary real combat is in the middle of the fighting, because you're so busy. It's not that scary. It's before and after that's terrifying. But that before, if you keep everybody calm and keep people from not panicking, they do fine. Panicking is a little bit of panic can destroy an entire army.
And it's funny because he does it with no machismo whatsoever. You think when you're watching it the first time or two, you're like, oh, he's just being crazy. But when you really study down into it, you're like, no, I think he's literally just settling Martin down here. And he's doing an excellent job at it. And I feel like it's something else that nobody ever talks about is after year one, all the Rangers, captain, everybody quits looking for Debbie after year one, except Martin and Ethan and Mose. Mose runs to California to look for her. He's looking for her in Mexico. And by the way, he's the one that points them to Scar in the end. And the funny thing is, Martin and Ethan get, of course, into a big gunfight, run, hide in the cave with the Indians there. And we never think about Mose until almost at the end of the movie. You realize he was still there and they captured him. And Martin and Ethan obviously just didn't care, didn't know, because he doesn't get out to the end where he tells them, I made out like I was crazy, ate dirt, chewed on grass. And all he's mad about is Ethan did not provide him a rocking chair by the end of that, and he is forever not going to forgive Ethan after that.
That is an unforgivable sin.
Well, that was when I watched it last night. Was, you know, they head out from the camp, and Moses is still there, but obviously it doesn't show him leaving with those Mexicans. No.
And I don't know that we ever see him after in the camp. He was, I think, in the camp. I can't remember. One more note about that. Let me grab a picture. The clothing is not correct at all in hardly any of the movie. There's a scene where he has some pretty cool Taos moccasins when he's looking at the arrow that Luke left him. But the clothing, and I call it summer, Ethan, the clothing that they have in Mexico, I like how he went ahead and did the whole untuck your shirt and put it over your gun and then wear a big straw sombrero type hat. I like that. Out of all the clothes, and obviously the shirt's still too short, and the button's all the way down, but I feel like at that point somebody told them, "Hey, do something different. This looks ridiculous with these belt loops on your jeans."
Scar sitting there with a mullet.
Yeah, that is true. They got a mullet. I like Scar.
What they don't see is there's an IROC Trans Am just right off to the side, or IROC Camaro right off to the side of the seat.
I like his belt though.
Yeah, you could tell, a lot of their costuming came from Navajos.
Yeah. Okay, so we've armed Mose, Hall Carbine, and Patterson's. Okay, I want to talk about something here because Duke's probably not going to make it now for some reason at this point. But what I want to talk about is something Duke brought up when I was talking to him about doing this was in the book it's mentioned that one of the – it's funny, in the book his name's Amos, so it's not even Ethan. But one of the things that people know that Amos or Ethan is coming from a long ways away is they can see his beaded gun sock. They can tell that iconic gun sock, and that sock shows up several places in this movie. Obviously, he doesn't have a 92, I don't think, in the book. But any thoughts on that? Is that a Navajo-style gun sock, you would think, Sheldon?
That's Crow.
Crow?
Yeah, when I first as soon as I seen it, that's a Crow. It's a Crow gun sock.
Well, and I don't know where he got it in the books, but he's obviously been all over the North. Like after the war, he's been to California, even though he doesn't admit it. He's been in the mountains. And there's that gun sock. I think I had another one of it, if I can find it.
Yeah, he could have just easily got it off a trade or similar.
Yeah.
Just because the Crows really seem to like those, and like it mentioned that my tribe liked them too. But you see more examples of the Crow ones, and you could have traded for it. To, could have traded, bought it, or had someone make it.
I do like that this one doesn't feel like a movie prop that much. I mean, it is obviously, but that looks like that's not painted. That's something somebody who knew what they were doing made. And according to Duke in the books, it's a character. And I'm just glad that they, had a. And obviously, here's another scene of the back of it.
Yeah, that's Crow style. I guess as soon as I've seen it, I saw made a connection with Crow because like what the Crows did a lot was use this like that any like red trade cloth and sew it onto their things. Yeah. And there would be either bead on it or bead like along it, and so you could see. So if you look, you can see the break between the fabric and the beads. Yeah. Yeah, that's a Crow style. So you could got it, or even the Nest Pierce have a similar style, but so you could have got it. I say Crow.
Yeah. And Shop Monkey said that begs the question, what does Mose do for money to live on? He's got to have some brains to get food and clothing. He does. Obviously, they buy him almost everything in the movie that he needs. But I don't think he needs a lot. And there's a point where Ethan offers him money. And that's when he tells Ethan, I don't want no money. I want a rocking chair and a roof over old Mo's head. So
you know what I think it is everybody knows who he is, where he goes. He's been around so long. He probably has friends everywhere he goes that know him. If he's loved that much by them, I guarantee everywhere he goes, it's the same situation.
Yeah. And he's probably the only ranger in this movie that is not working without compensation, a.k.a. no pay. So,
he's just in it for the game. In it for the love of the game.
Yep. McLean says you have to be crazy to be a ranger in those days. You are outnumbered and a long way from home. Scar's all business up front and party in the back with that hairdo, says McLean. The Shop Monkey says, were gun socks like that pretty common? Seems like it would slow down response to an emergency. Ethan would have to have taken that sock off of a dead guy, Doug Duke said. Ethan would have taken that sock. Oh, yeah, I never thought of that. Taking the sock off of a dead guy.
Yeah, he could have did that too. One thing that, I when you read about counts and stuff from Warriors, the ones who mention having gun socks and stuff, they just mention, right before anything they'd slip it off, or basically, grabbing like just
Well,
one swoop motion, they'll come off,
they
because
they
they
show
tend to
that.
flare out.
Yeah.
Because the one I made, usually you have them flare out around the lock area,
Mm-hmm.
so the hammer wouldn't be caught.
Yeah.
Or some
And
of them are so small that they only cover like up to where the pen or the nipple would be on the rifle.
And there's a very famous scene where they show him getting rid of it, right when he goes into where the cabin's burning. Right as he comes over the ridge, he grabs his rifle and he just goes and just slings that thing. Obviously, he came back for it, but he just grabs his rifle and whoof, slings that thing across the ridge when the cabin's on fire, and he sees that the raid has hit his brother's house. So it did. I mean, that was a thing. At least in the movie too, they showed him getting rid of it to get into a fight. So how you were saying they were pretty common, you thought? I was reading a comment.
Yeah, the Crows had them a lot. It says my tribe had them a lot, but you see examples more of the Crow, and then when you see like the Crow bead work, I tried it. I can't. It's I don't have the motor skills for that. Or patience.
I wonder if whoever made it in real life cried when he did that scene.
In all honesty, someone probably made it and sold it and didn't even think of it, because back, up until probably the 70s, 80s, a lot of people on a lot of reservations did beadwork over the winter to sell, and then as soon as they sold it, they sold it, they had their money, and then go get new supplies to do it again. That's basically their livelihood. So I was like, okay, they bought it. It's what they do.
And one more thing I'm going to say for all the people, and this is a real common saying, John Wayne can't act, plays his own character all the time. All right, you think of Rooster Cogburn, okay, that John Wayne kind of character, and then look at this face. This is the movie where he gave it everything. He gave it literally everything. And the thing is, for years, he looked for another script, and no one could write him another character like Ethan. He could never play the character Ethan again, but he named his son Ethan because he loved the character so much. And his son Ethan was the youngest kid in Big Jake. And a lot of people know that, who played his grandson in Big Jake, but it was really his son, Ethan. And so this scene, and the scene that still gets me, especially as a younger guy, I didn't understand it until I had spent a lot more years in the books studying, what things were really like. When he comes out of that canyon after he's buried Lucy, he jumps off his horse and he grabs his knife and he starts digging. I always thought, that's weird. And then I realized he's just going through the motion because he doesn't have a shovel. And he says, I buried her with my hands. And she obviously didn't have her dress because Brad thinks that the warrior is her and the warrior's wearing her dress. By the way, shout out to John Ford for throwing that in. That was probably controversial at the time that this movie was made. How dark, how deep, at the time this movie was made, nobody talked about things like what this movie talks about. At the time this movie was made, can you imagine Roy Rogers, go back a few years, Roy Rogers or Gene Autry threatening to kill their niece because she prefers to stay with the Indians? Okay. This is like Clint Eastwood levels of anti-hero before Clint Eastwood was a thing, right? And just a shout out to them for actually getting through all this stuff, especially the discussions of the killing of Lucy, even though they don't go into extreme detail. The fact that they could even get it in as with the code, the Hays Code, the way it was, they had to lean a lot on John Wayne's acting to pull off how bad that was. And when he jumps off that horse, starts digging the sand with his knife, he's redoing that same motion he was doing when he buried Lucy in that canyon. And he doesn't tell her. And probably the literal best John Wayne acting scene that he ever did was sitting in the sand there when Brad starts to ask her what they did to her. And he says, "What do you want me to do? Spell it out? Draw you a picture?" Of course, I can't act like John Wayne, but that scene is just, and when you've actually studied on both sides, this is not just this. I'm not just saying this is something that the Indians would do to the settlers. This goes both ways for a lot of stories at the time. Doesn't matter where you're at. You are in a nasty situation in Texas at the time. You know, it doesn't matter who you are. Life's cheap on the Canadian, as they say in Lonesome Dove. But just when he gets that grimace on his face, what do you want me to do? Draw you a picture, spell it out. And it was obviously so bad that Brad basically committed suicide. So, I don't know. Any thoughts on that scene, Snap?
It kind of reminds me of a story I read years and years ago about an incident in Texas where, like, just the barbarity of both people, like, people. It's like amazed what you can do to people.
Mm-hmm.
People, the crap we do to each other is insane.
Yeah, and we still do today. We just don't read about it in the headlines.
I think that in the Western world, it's not as common because most people see something like that and they completely get disgusted by it. But it does happen, right?
Yeah.
But man, like the first thing that came to my mind was there was an Indian raid in Texas where a lady and her baby got taken, and the baby just kept crying, and so they basically just started throwing the baby in the air until they thought it was dead, and then pulled it through a rope, and then just pulled it through cactus and stuff. It's like, dude, it's a lot. Like, that's a baby.
Yeah.
Insane. Life didn't mean that much back then.
Well,
and I don't know if that's for the better or the worse, truly, because now we have people that are, think the world owes them everything.
And the Europeans were, I mean, a lot of people were just as bad coming from the other side. They just come through a civil war where you were praised for killing your brother. So,
yeah, exactly. Imagine what they call PTSD now, that existed back then. And I guarantee you there were some people that were really messed up. Messed up after the war.
Nobody on this chat is going to do is judge either side from our cushion chair on this live stream.
I understand. The thing is they're two different points of view, and they're both correct. One, you're fighting for your land and your people, and the other, you're fighting for your land and your people.
Yeah. Well, Sheldon,
how they do it and how things are done, it depends on the person. Yeah, jump in, Sheldon. Like, just all racist. That's why I love it.
Sheldon.
Well,
he turned his mic off.
Humans are,
humans are humans.
Very, barbaric. Even when it comes to this little things like Fannie Kelly, when she got kidnapped, they outright just mentioned, killing. I think it was a young. One of her sisters is right there on the trail because she was doing the same thing, screaming, trying to putting up a fight, and it was just easier for them just to kill.
Yeah.
Versus, if you be quiet, you'll be safe. Now they're like, she ain't being quiet, make her quiet.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what actually kind of remind me of this right now in the world is I think it's the stupidest war ever, but the Ukraine Russia thing is everybody always paints Ukraine as the greatest, and they're both fucked up. There's so many videos of people trying to surrender from a drone because you're gonna die. You're dead. They got right above you, and then they just kill the guy because it's harder to have them surrender because we have to walk them through no man's land area. It's just easier to kill them. Yeah. You hope you're never put in that situation, but it's like as humans.
Ethan was talking to me about that, and not getting into politics or anything here, but he said everybody wants to fight a war, and
until they're there.
He's been in some nasty, nasty stuff, and he said everybody wants to fight a war until you see your buddy in the viewfinder of that first-person drone.
And I didn't ever have to deal with that. Oh my God, I couldn't imagine.
And they keep that.
Even as a drone operator, I've seen a couple interviews with drone operators where they're like they have hundreds of kills. Like it is the easiest form of killing on the battlefield by far. It's the most effective right now.
All we're saying, all this is just to say that it's very hard
Times change,
to judge
things stay the
people's
same.
behavior and what they do when you're not there.
Yeah.
And you're not
When you're
involved
there,
in this.
yeah, it seems so barbaric. It's so bad. You know, like how dare we blow up a bridge? It's a fucking bridge. But I'm telling you, like unless you're there, it doesn't make sense until you're there, and then everything makes sense. You're like, I completely get it.
Yeah. Anyway,
And
back into the 19th century. Oh, go ahead, Sheldon.
Yep.
I was gonna say like back to you said the baby thing, and they were. It was like
And that's just one example. Like who knows how?
like it was an example, but I'm trying to figure how to tie it in. But I remember trying to find the book. I think it was Remember a Little. I forgot the book title, but they're asking. And one thing I really like looking for when they talk to my tribe or neighboring tribes are the women interviews, because there's a lot less of those, and they have good And
Yeah,
when you
that's
find the
actually
women
an interesting
interviews,
side. 'Cause you don't see a lot of that.
yeah. So when I find them, I try to commit them to memory and then try to should have been writing them down. But one was they asked this woman said, "Oh, in the old days, if you're worried about because that's one thing you always read is, oh, we have to be quiet because we're told that enemies are everywhere. You don't know where
Right.
they are. They could be 2 hills over for you. You just don't know." And they were asked, "Well, how did you keep your babies quiet? Because babies tend to just cry." So what we did was we pinched the nose and put our hand over the mouth when they start crying, and they start having a fit because they're suffocating.
Yeah.
They let go, and if the baby starts crying again, they do it again and again until the baby, the baby's mind
Either stops crying. Yeah.
yeah, and clicks and saying, paraphrasing, but the baby realizes that if it cries, they do that and suffocates. So the baby doesn't cry, they don't do it. So
Right.
And
And that makes sense. 100% makes sense.
That is why this movie at the time is still hailed as like a vast majority of people say it's the number one Western made of all time. Some people, think of other movies too, but the reason it's like that is because this is one of the first ones that was able to broach these subjects the way that they did. And just, it seems tame to us today, but if you were walking in to see, if you had just come out of a double feature, in the 40s and saw something like Roy Rogers, Gene Autry, and then you walk in and watch this masterpiece, like a decade later, you're going to be absolutely blown away. By the way, looks good too.
yeah,
I'm very tempted every time I watch this to start griping about how John Ford put this in Monument Valley. And then I realize Monument Valley is such a strong character in this movie, the backgrounds, everything. It may not, if we had done what I would have liked him to do and just put it on the grass plains of Texas, maybe it wouldn't hold up like it is today. Because if you watch it, especially nowadays when we can get higher resolution, when they leave the cabin the first time looking for Lars's cows, and Captain Clayton has that red hanky that just hangs down to the earth off that giant black horse that he's riding, and he's kicking up sand, and that top hat and that white coat is all over the place. And hey, Duke, I have to say, it's just one of the most beautiful films ever shot, even to this day.
he's here.
There is areas in West Texas, like West Texas, that do look like it looks like you're in like Las Vegas, Nevada, where it's just desert and like almost that Monument Valley look, but there's just nothing out there. It's just empty. You don't even really see farming. But yeah, I don't see how cattle can survive.
All right, let's go back.
It's kind of just no man's land.
We've armed about half of this, Duke, but we saved the best for when you got here.
Okay.
So a couple things I wanted to go back since you're here, though. Tell us about the influence of The Searchers, the movie, in your life. When did you first watch it, and how does it connect to you?
I think I was about 16 when I first watched it, and it's probably one of my favorite John Wayne movies.
The clothing isn't great, the guns aren't great, but the story and the attitudes in it, I don't know if you agree, are some of the best in Western movies.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Okay, so just to draw back through what we've done before, just to catch you up here, we started out by arming the smallest characters, which means we started out arming Mr. Futterman, and we gave him, since he's a trader and obviously has some money in a place, we gave him a 66 Winchester in 1868 and 2 Cooper double-action revolvers. I don't know why, but it sounded good.
Sure, I'll go with that.
And then we took Sergeant Charlie McCory, Festus, King Curtis, and we gave him, what did we give him? We gave him a Spencer, 1865, and there was some debate on whether or not we were just going to give him 2 Remingtons. Doug Duke said he should have a 51 Navy, and Snapper said an NCO would never carry a Remington, so we gave him 1 51 Navy and 1 surplus Remington.
Okay.
Okay, and then after that, we armed Ethan's brother, Aaron, who gets killed. Obviously, the other brother killed right off the bat. We said that he was completely unprepared for this Comanche raid, even though there is a scene, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, the grave where Debbie hides at the grave said, "Here lies Mary Jane Edwards, killed by Comanches, May 12, 1852, a good wife and mother in her 41st year." And we decided this guy should know that Comanche raids are a thing. His mom was obviously killed in one, but he's absolutely unprepared because he's just a farmer. And so we armed him with a 12-gauge double-barrel percussion shotgun because he does use a shotgun, says he's going after quail.
Right.
In the movie, he grabs a single-action Army off the shelf. We gave him a 49 pocket model because he absolutely does not live by his guns, and it might just be something he has laying around.
Yeah, I'd go along with that because, yeah, even in the movie, he grabs a single-shot shotgun. So,
yep. And the only reason we didn't keep that was because the break open, unless it was some weird one, didn't exist yet in 68, unless it was like a pinfire. The next one we did was, who did we arm next? Mose. And we decided to keep that Jenkins that we were talking about, you and I.
yeah.
And then Doug Dukes chimes in and said if he's going to have those Pattersons, he needs a Hall. So we set the Jenkins aside and gave him an older Hall carbine.
Okay. Yeah, that would work too.
And we were just discussing before that, and I wanted your take on this. The beaded gun sock, Sheldon says that is crow work.
Yeah. Because I was watching that the other day, and the blue on there, I thought maybe it was Cheyenne, but yeah, I could see it being crow.
Cheyenne beadwork looks more similar. Cheyenne Lakota beadwork tend to be the same, just a little different.
Yeah, I was just going by the color, not really the pattern.
I went off pattern and construction.
Gotcha.
And I was just saying, Sheldon said they probably didn't care, but I was saying when he slung that thing off that rifle on the ridge, whoever did all that beadwork was probably sitting there crying.
But did you ever notice at the beginning of that? It's he's carrying, the 92 Winchester carbine, typical. But when he slings that off, he's got a muzzle loader in it.
Yeah, I think I have noticed that. I was thinking that the other day, but I didn't rewind it. It's almost like we've had for a moment, we almost had a well-armed Ethan. And we were there, and we've kind of come up to arming. We're going to arm a couple of the other characters here. Looking at, I want to save the beer. Oh, we armed Scar. We armed Scar with a Lehman and a Remington revolver and his lance.
If you look in the lodge, when they finally find Debbie,
yeah,
he's got a 66 hanging on the wall of teepee behind him.
Really?
Right next to him.
We were talking about he could have something like that too, being, depends on who he raids.
Like Sheldon was saying, he's raiding all over the place. He could have anything he wants, right?
Yep. But yeah, if you look there, you can see the receiver between Ethan and Martin.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all tacked up and everything. But yeah, you can see the receiver up there, and they've got an original 66 hanging there.
Quick note: there are in Lori's house. Her dad does have a bunch of really fancy-looking plains rifles hanging on the wall. If you look closely in several rooms, so that was a nice touch. They didn't do as terrible as a lot of people would make out with this movie, firearms-wise. because the movie does run from, in the movie at least, 68 to 74. So to an extent, you could say the 73s might have fit in at the end, the single action armies, but it would have been extremely unlikely, in my opinion.
In 74, yeah. You might see one, maybe two, but not a lot.
It's closer to liver actions, than what the Comancheros is.
Oh, all right. So let's arm somebody. By the way, we just got through discussing John Wayne coming out of the canyon Ethan after he's buried Lucy, and how good his acting was there, and him using the knife as soon as he jumps off his horse, starts digging with his knife. And Doug Duke said he thought he was cleaning his knife. But yeah, we were just discussing his acting in that scene, in the scene about the draw a picture, spell it out, which leads to Brad's suicide, and how the movie itself, just very few movies could touch these subjects in 1956 like this one could.
Yeah.
Okay. A few more comments here. My rocking chair. McLean 51 says, I think it turns into a state of mind, just survival in its purest form. Whether it's 1860 or 2026, it's terrifying in the comfort of your air-conditioned homes, but humans quickly turn feral.
That is true. Be amazed what you get comforted with over time. Your body can get used to anything. Your mind, your body, over enough time, your body can do anything.
Marty's mom. Could the tombstone have been Marty's mom? Well, let's see what it says again. I never thought of that. I was just going under the assumption because everybody said it. No, her name's Edwards.
Yeah, it's Edwards.
So, yeah, it's Mary Jane Edwards. And before Debbie runs up there, they tell her to go hide with Grandma. So,
yeah.
And be quiet as a little mouse. And it may have worked if Chris the dog hadn't betrayed everybody in this story. and the dog lived, so,
You know, something I'm kind of curious about if it was ever done back then, because I know that they teach you this in like survival schools to basically bury yourself. I wonder if people did that back then, like women and children went to a certain spot, like something that's kind of pre-dug, and buried themselves. So you can't get seen.
During Sand Creek, the Cheyenne women were trying to bury themselves and their kids in the dry creek, but
Yeah,
they got caught and basically
because that's the best form of like complete disappearance is burying yourself if done right. So I'm curious. I would think if you got raided, man, I would make sure that I had something like that for the wife and the son.
I was talking about this in school the other day with the kids, because we have a little schoolhouse here, and every morning I do a history hour. And this was my third time watching The Searchers in a few weeks, and I was like, let's watch it together. So I had a bunch of younger kids, and some of them were scared right off the bat, understandably. But it was a good movie for them to watch for their history stuff. And the discussion we had was, I asked them right off the bat, if your brothers you're in 1868, your brother, your dad, this big family, whatever, are all at home, and the Comanches come up on you, what do you think your chances are of survival? And of course, one of the boys was like something like 80%, we can fight, we can do this. I said, how about 0? Because I said, what if you can't go to water? What if they just stay? What if they burn the place down? Oh, maybe I'll dig a cellar. I said, well, you better have a shovel inside when you get raided. He said, well,
I would think it has some kind of a shelter system in place that's hidden.
Survive is with numbers, and a lot of these people are getting hit on these raids don't have the numbers with them.
Right.
Okay, let's see. Doug Dukes, or a hide under a body, Two Guns said. Soylent Green says, made it. Had to verify to get in. LOL. Sorry about that. Sheldon, talk about the volcanic. Love this movie. John Wayne's best acting. Sheldon, talk about the volcanic. Tell us why you love it. Why you're going to buy it.
Because it's cool.
You're talking about the volcanic pistol?
Yeah, Uberi's going to have a reproduction next year in 380.
I did not know they were coming out with a volcanic at all.
Oh, yeah.
Captain Ball has a little video on it, and he's like, "I'm gonna buy it, and it's gonna be cool, and I'm gonna buy another Henry."
Oh, that's going to be cool, especially if it's shootable. Because I mean, the original had so little power. There's literally a thing about a written up where a guy tried committing suicide once, and he shot himself in the head like a lot of times. And they walked in, and he was still conscious and awake. He didn't die, barely hurt the guy.
Well, you know why he was doing that? He was an investor in the Volcanics Repeating Arms Company.
So
He was,
yeah,
really.
I think Captain Ball has a little video on there.
But as a 380, I got to look that up as soon as we get off here. I got to look that up because I've always wanted something like that myself.
Yeah, same. I did find another Henry for like $900. Wasn't $44.40.
That's not bad. It's not bad at
That
all.
was $44.40.
All right. Are we ready to get back to it? We got to arm our main characters now. We're getting
You're not gonna arm Captain Preacher.
Yeah. Let's start with Martin. We haven't done Martin yet. Okay, Martin. He hasn't got a penny to his name, and John Wayne actually makes a statement in the middle of the movie, somewhere around 1871, 72, because it's after the statement of 2 years. No, it's actually at the statement of 2 years, so 70, if the movie starts at 68. He doesn't even have enough money for a horse, a saddle, or cartridges. Yeah, obviously, he's another time traveler. Here he has the 73 Single Action Army.
At least he picked the right gun if you're going to time travel.
All right. They never state what he's doing, but obviously he's a young Texas cowboy character. Doesn't really have any family, has no money. In 1868, too young for the Civil War. What are we arming him with, guys?
Remington.
I would say there's like in the beginning of the movie, maybe the first 2 years. I'd say surplus muskets, or cheap smoothbore, just because if he has no money to his name, that's what's going to be the quickest thing for him to get hold of.
The shop monkey says Martin has a rusted pepper box with smush nipples if he has anything.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one right there. I would think that look, if I remember right, looking back on some of the surplus stuff, Remingtons were pretty cheap.
Yeah. Duke, you want to throw in here?
Yeah, I'd say, surplus all the way around.
Surplus.
It'd be surplus something. Yeah.
Things he's living on the farm. I probably wouldn't even give him a revolver. I'd just give him that surplus musket.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That would actually probably make a lot of sense.
But he does.
There's no need for a pistol.
He does need a pistol for one important scene where he stands off Ethan from killing Debbie.
Yeah, but later on.
Later on.
But could he have gotten that gun from somebody else that's dead?
I'd say by the time that they find Debbie, he's probably got up enough money because they were doing some trading and stuff. They talk about doing trading.
Yeah.
It's like probably got enough money at that point. Probably have a conversion revolver of some kind and maybe a 66.
That's grounds for divorce in Texas. You're really rough. Oh. Yeah, I go agree with you. But let's give him an overall for the whole story. Let's just say let's just give him something a little good on the front, and let's say he carries it through, right? Because that's kind of what we've been doing for everybody else. I'm with you on the Millsap stuff and probably the Remingtons.
No, the funny thing is what if he had like could be like a breech loader surplus, like the Star carbine.
Yeah.
Or if you want to be or Jenkins, or if you want to be a little fancy, you could have a Star carbine and 56 Spencer, 5650 Spencer. If you want to be on the rich end, but
yeah,
from what I understand, those ones are a little rare, so you could have like a surplus.
Well, and you also
breech loader. Because
Ethan's made out of money. Do you think he spent any on Martin to at least give him a little something?
No, not
maybe.
He gave him the company.
Gave him the stuff that he bought his wife with.
Yeah.
Come on, Mrs. Polly, join our merry band.
He gave him a really rare, very early cartridge conversion Remington.
All right, so
Rimfire.
let's say he picks up a P51 infield. Well, you guys good with that?
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's going to carry it for the majority of this. Maybe by the end he gets something better. I think I'm willing to go with the P51 infield and embrace a surplus Remington's had for about $1 each.
I think like after the first 2 years, and you'll get something. I mean, that what's her name? His love interest, not Look. The other one.
Oh, Lori, yeah.
Lori. She says she stole this for him and gave him some money, so you could have used that to get some.
That was a letter.
It was a letter?
Yeah, that was saying
where gave him some money.
Let's let McLean 51 says 1851 Colt. He gets converted later. Ethan's old Sharps paper cutter. Why don't? What do you think? 51 Colt would have been around before the war, like a whole big time 51 Colt.
I think.
Hear me out, Garrett. A silver and gold plated 1860 Army because nobody else wants to see the thing. So he got it at a really cheap deal.
So I think it would have been just a surplus breech loader because those were like the first thing the Army unloaded. Like, we don't want these, are all over the map here.
Yeah, so Sharps or something.
Yeah, not even the Sharps. They're keeping those, but like even like a captured. The hell.
Not only did he show up, he showed up twice.
Showed twice.
Yeah, I hit the back button.
Okay, if I remove this one, are you still there?
But like, I mean, like with the trading and stuff, he could have got something good.
I think he killed the wrong one.
Because what Remington had their cartridge conversions in 68, 69 with the deal with Smith & Wesson. So
yeah.
Which one?
That's why I was thinking the Remington might actually work. This is a friend of the channel's gun. It's a conversion Remington.
That's a high hammer.
Yeah, the hammer, somebody modified it. I got a new hammer for it to swap out, and I got to get this gun sent back to him. But
don't tell me somebody was fanning an original one, and that's why that hammer's there.
That's the only thing that makes sense. It's the only thing that makes sense. It is welded on. Well, it's brazed on, excuse me. It's brazed on.
Yeah.
And it's super duper wide.
Oh, yeah, they're fanning it.
Yeah.
On a original Remington conversion. It's rimfire conversion. Pretty nice, actually. I really do like this thing.
And by the way, Remington conversions are around in 69. So
it's a cool little gun.
Should we just be nice and give Martin a couple Remington conversions?
That'd be cool. Because we haven't given a single person yet a conversion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a 51 infield musket. Because he really doesn't use the rifle except for when Mose takes it from him at one time. Other than that, he just fanning pistols like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
For that which we're about to receive, we thank the old Lord.
We discussed that a little bit ago. All right, so we got Martin armed. Now we're up to our top two characters. All right, my favorite. I'm wearing the hat in his honor. Toss up between him and Mose. Who's my favorite? The Reverend Captain Samuel Johnson Clayton. This character is a captain in the Texas Rangers, even though there's some debate on whether or not they would they even be called, that Dukes probably knows, would they even be called Texas Rangers in 1868? I don't know. After the war?
He seems, I don't know, his career or whatnot. He says he's fond of the Confederacy, so I'd say he have a Navy.
I think he's like a Rip Ford character.
I'd say him being an older character, he'd still have a Dragoon on him.
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of thinking the same thing.
Converted Dragoon.
What were you saying, Duke?
Paradragoons.
Paradragoons. I'm with you. Something I love. He is the best dressed character, even though it's not perfect. His shirt buttons all the way down. He has belt loops on his pants. His character is so well dressed and such a standout for this movie. And I was saying earlier, he always has, if you look down here, you can barely see it, a red handkerchief that hangs down almost to his feet everywhere he goes, and it sticks out against that white coat. And at first I was like, that's what he uses to tie his hat down, but it's not. When he takes off running to the river, he reaches in the other pocket and pulls out a blue one that's just as long and uses it to tie his hat down. And I'm wondering if the red signifies the commander. Maybe you know where he's at. I don't know. What do you guys think on that?
Good.
That's possible.
I don't know. I kind of thought it was silly on there, but that would make a fine point there. And it's been so long since I read the book, I don't remember if that's even mentioned in the book.
I never even noticed it until I got it into a high definition. But him on that black horse with that white coat, black top hat or gray top hat, and that red scarf hanging out of his pocket is a pretty awesome look. And obviously, he's armed with a 73 single action 92 Winchester. Well, I don't even think he uses a 92, and he does not use a rifle. He only shoots pistols. Is that because he's a captain in the Texas Rangers? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm wondering what that red scarf is. I know that it was a Mongolian thing where they would do something very similar to that, where it would break up their silhouette while riding, and it was much harder to hit them. Like it makes you a harder target to hit because it kind of messes with your aim. It breaks the person's silhouette up because it's moving so much.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that had anything to do with it. Doubtful, but I know that was a thing.
There it is again.
But the idea of making it a signal to know that where the leader is, that's probably likely what it's for.
Let's see. Doug Duke said they were called Minutemen, Gunmen, or Rangers, local militia-style call-ups. Okay, very good. I was wondering about that because I'd had some people ask me, did Rangers even exist in that form right after the war in this time period? The Shop Monkey says, blue hanky for wiping his nose and the red. Oh, yeah, okay, got you. Doesn't show blood. Okay, got you. He does carry that, though, and with the black horse, the white coat, and he is a well-to-do fellow, obviously being the Reverend, as it shows later on, especially the night of the wedding, when he goes into a really fancy tailcoat with a really fancy new black hat and a false front dress shirt.
Yeah, the Adams.
What's that?
So yeah, the double action Adams.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good one.
What year are we looking at right at the moment?
Okay, so in the very beginning, this is one character that evolves because by the end, Moses is wearing his old clothes sitting in the rocking chair, and he's wearing his fancy new clothes through the end of it. So it changes, and we're looking at 68 for white coat captain, Reverend Samuel Clayton, Samuel Johnson Clayton. And at the end, we have black coat version, which is much fancier. So
I would say past 73, it would be likely, being a captain in the Texas Rangers, he could have a single action army.
Wasn't most of
that would be for civilians, though. You know, they didn't really get them till 76 for the most part.
But the military or the actual the Rangers buying it, passing it out because he's a captain. If he's still an officer, now if he's not, if he is a civilian ex-officer, then likely not. But if he's still considered active, I would say it's possible.
Which month in 73 did the single action army start coming out? Because if it was
May, God, I don't remember. I have to look.
Most of it would have been going to the army.
Yeah, I think it'd be virtually impossible by 74, but it might. You know, it's possible. Let me throw these two things out with you, and we already discussed one. He's 60 years old. It's pretty well stated in the bio. I don't know if that has anything to do with the movie. It must be the book, but he's 60 years old. So he's 60 years old in 68. So he's born in 1808. He's a fairly old guy. He's been there for quite a bit of this thing. You think he has a walker? Maybe. I'm going to say dragoons. Or what if he was one of the few recipients of those beautiful fluted cylinder McCoy Colt 1860 armies?
So he's a fun Confederacy, but you know, he probably would have been more of a commander role, so he could have just had a Navy. Well, if he's older and he's most likely would have had a dragoon.
Yeah.
I'd definitely go with brace of dragoons.
I like the dragoon too. Oh, by the way, Dick, we're on Rumble, so if you want to show something,
either that or
feel free. We can handle them. I'm with you. Let's do the dragoons. All right.
And then later on, I'd say he'd have. Honestly, after 69, 70, if he's more, I guess, in town, he could have not easily, but especially if they go to Austin, he probably would have had like a early pair of like British double action, 442.
Very well could have.
We think about the 1860s with the fluid cylinders, the early ones that went to Texas.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because they went to the McCoy guys, gave them to the, and I don't know. He obviously
we see the Dragoon as being awesome because it's so big and so different. But at that time, the Dragoon in 1860 make roughly the same amount of power.
Now,
so on a way lighter gun.
If you're a Ranger who's been doing this for 20 years and you have your Dragoons, are you really going to be that excited to trade them in for 60 armies?
I don't know. That's a good question, because it would be kind of like somebody trading, say, modern day. If you had an M16A4, trade it into an M4 with the lighter buttstock and adjustable and everything, which everybody would do instantly. So it's a lighter gun.
Yeah, I have a thought, but let's let Duke say something. He was going to say something.
On the Dragoons? I was just thinking, like, I can't remember what Ranger it was, but he carried his Dragoons all through his career, even after the cartridge era. And he was one of the older guys. I want to say it's Rick Ford, but
I remember.
I say we keep the Dragoons. We keep the Dragoons. It fits.
He had the Dragoons in a set of really fancy holsters, and there's a picture of him standing there with them. I want to say it's Rip Ford, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, it is.
I want to say that there is a lot of Rip Ford in Reverend Samuel Clayton, because obviously the Reverend thing, but Rip Ford, senator, doctor, and I feel like they drew off of him some for the character of Captain Clayton. Even though at the time Rip Ford by 68 would be in charge of all the Texas Rangers, I believe. That's around the time that he went after Iron Shirt. So I'm comfortable with the Dragoons, but Sheldon was throwing some stuff out there. What do you think, Sheldon? You still want to stick by your guns on some of that other stuff?
Like I said, like when they go out looking for him, I'd say he'd still have the Dragoons. Mm-hmm. And he would most likely still have them to just at home. But I think when he's like out and about, he might have, like later on in the movie in the 70s, he would most likely have like a cartridge gun, whether it be a Remington conversion, a British, double action, or a Colt, open top or something.
Maybe.
Well, he's not carrying a rifle or using a rifle at all in the show.
Yeah, I'm not even thinking about
what if
instead
of a rifle and 2 pistols, what if we give him 4 pistols? What if he's carrying 2 Dragoons on his saddle and 2 pistols on his belt?
It could be.
Now we're actually James him.
What'd you say?
Be interesting.
Make him Jesse James.
Yeah. Well, what if he had 2 Colt 2 1860 armies, be they the McCulloughs, be they anything, that he can convert or have converted by the end of the movie into cartridge conversions, but in the first he's definitely carrying and still has those Dragoons.
I still think, especially if he's going to Austin, by the sounds of it, not on the regular, but more often than that Lars family. I still think he would have been able to get a purposely made cartridge gun already, without having to send it off and get it converted and get it sent back.
Yeah,
the guy who knows is chiming in. Doug Duke says Rangers getting 73 pistols because head of Rangers is also head of the Texas military. So guns bought for military would have gone to Rangers. All right. We can arm him then. According to Doug Dukes, we can arm him with 73s by the end.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
So let's give him.
That'd be the coolest thing on the battlefield at that time.
And he is not very. He does have a 73 single action early in the movie go off accidentally and almost shoots himself in the leg with a blank when John Wayne throws him again. Says, "Here, it's loaded." He goes, wham, goes off into the ground. And those 2 are good actors because they don't miss a beat. They just keep on rolling with it. I will say, let's just give him 2 Dragoons and 2 73 single actions.
I don't know. The single actions just don't jive with me, because why are you gonna give a Texan who swore to the Confederacy anything.
Well, he's the head of like Doug Duke said. He's the head of the Texas Army now. He is at the surrender.
but
Even if Ethan was
we gotta
not at
realize
the
Cole
surrender, he
freaking
was there.
loved. I mean, he's gone now, but Cole loved the Texas Army.
Yeah,
Texas
but you know,
Ranger.
that was between him, Colt, and them. Colt's dead. Colt the worm food.
Yeah, and he's dead now. But
Yeah,
And it seems like they'd be giving their top of the line soldiers it, because look, even up until what 75.
yeah.
A lot of those soldiers out west didn't even get their single actions until
Yeah.
74, 75, 76.
Very good point.
Yep.
So
yeah,
he might
I
have
just
a
gotta
Richards.
realize when did the very first set of single actions actually hit Texas?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Especially
That's
Texas
the only
being
way to
under
actually settle
reconstruction
that.
at that point. They wouldn't really
Yes.
trust Texans.
it's not necessarily
In
stated.
a way, I
also-
think you're probably right.
It's not stated how far into 1874 the film goes. Outside of the only reason we know it's there is because it starts in 68, and when 73 they find Debbie, Ethan says, "We've been given it. We've been following him for 5 years, and obviously it's later after that. So we're talking 73, possibly into 74 by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So I think it's too early."
I see him with like a Richards or open top or
That's
even a
what,
Smith and Wesson.
going back to
Even
what I
though-
was saying. What if he had 260 armies that he had converted?
Converted. That could probably be the most likely because that's basically what an 73 single action is.
Did we give
1860
Marty,
conversion with a top strap.
Did we give Martin a 51 navies? We did. Because we got to have 51 navies in here. I mean, I've danced around them because I didn't want to give them to just everybody. But at the point is, there's more 51 navies than everywhere else. But I think Clayton is going to have 2 dragoons and 260 armies that he can convert later on, or buy conversions.
And you'd think if he got the early dragoons, and when you become a Colt guy, you kind of stay a Colt guy.
Well, not only that, but he's classy. He dresses well.
Yeah, he's classy. He's not a
He wants a
Remington
beautiful gun, not a Remington.
I mean, if I had if a Captain Ball revolver and had the money, and all of a sudden someone showed me a Smith and Wesson American, I'm like, you know what? That's looking a little nicer.
He's got a point there. At that time, yes.
But if you're 60 years old and you've been using one system your whole life, how quick are you going to be to say, old guys don't switch very fast.
No,
But
him being more of a towny person, going to Austin here and probably more behind the desk.
All right,
I'd say-
so we've agreed on the dragoons. What do we lack to meet up here, or what do we got to do to come to an agreement on what these smaller pistols are going to be?
I'd say like later on it would be like a smaller pocket style. And when he goes out out and about, it's going to be his dragoons.
Yeah,
Because
possibly
there's
a pocket pistol in his
does
pocket.
it state where in Texas they're at?
It just says Texas.
Just Texas.
They're on the Brazos, so they're kind of in the middle there.
Yeah,
Was there any railroads that way?
not in 68.
That time it should have been, yeah.
In 68? Well,
Oh,
we're
no,
talking
68? Actually, I don't know.
No, there
I
wouldn't
still-
have been because they didn't. Well, there
He's more
wasn't
like, I think that
big
early
ones going
80s.
through there.
If there was railroads, there wouldn't have been much need for a cattle drive.
That's
Yeah,
true, yeah. No, there wasn't.
Exactly.
And so
When did-
that's
no.
why I think like he would have like his dragoons and the 60 armies when he goes, to Austin. He has to go over to rough country.
Yeah.
But,
Sheldon's hanging out for these RIC Bulldogs. He really wants.
Yeah, he is. He's really into those. He's like, we got to get these weird little British guns in their hands somehow.
Let's call
We'll do it.
It's not even. It couldn't even be. It doesn't have to be those. It can be, one of the Smith and Wesson pocket police.
Or a
conversions.
Model 2, like at the time Wild Bill Hickok was carrying. 32.
Yeah, it could be that because I remember it's like he could have got that after the first year, and he just held on to it just because.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're in town, why are you going to be toting around a
that's
big
true. That's
revolver?
true. I say we give him a pocket pistol, 260 armies, and 2 dragoons on the saddle.
And one of them's got to be really nice, like all silver plated or something.
Yeah, he's dipping in the donation box for that.
Well, it's somebody's making money, and he's made a statement at the very first that none of his Rangers that volunteer are going. They're going without pay. So evidently, the Reverend Samuel Johnson Clayton might be taking some of that money to buy a fancy hat and a fancy coat every now and often. Doug Duke said no trains that early. Okay, Two Gun said, what about a 62 Colt? I think we're getting a little deep in the weeds. I think we're getting a little deep in the weeds on it because, like you said,
he has seven pocket navies on him.
Okay, I think we should all agree he has 1 Smith & Wesson pocket pistol, 2 60 Armies, 2 Dragoons.
Okay.
All right.
I've been baptized, Reverend. I've been baptized.
Well, you better get set for another because I don't aim to give no 2 hollers. All right. Now we got to talk about the main guy. Here we are. The man himself, the legend, Ethan Edwards.
Duke has to answer this first.
Okay, let's just give a little background here, though. He's been in the war, but before the war, he was obviously, I don't think he's really part of the Texas Rangers because he didn't have any respect for them and he does not follow their leadership.
Nope.
But he was obviously involved in some rescues because he was involved in a fight where they found Martin under a tree after his family was killed. He runs off to the war, maybe because he was having something with Martha and him and Aaron weren't getting along about it. He's got a medal. I don't know if it's the Confederate Medal of Honor. He's in the cavalry. He's got a
one thing I read last night was saying that he might have went down to Mexico and fought in the Mexico-Prussian War because it says that his medal's off of that war.
Really? Okay.
It's supposed to be a Confederate medal, but there's no really Confederate medal that you can find any images of online.
Yeah. Well, also, and he's not going to take an oath to Mexico because he states pretty plainly he's got 1 oath, and he's only good for 1 oath at a time. And that he may not have many rules that he lives by, but that's one of them.
It's kind of like the Hollywood thing about the Confederate silver dollars.
Yeah. So what we can say is this dude has been living by his guns his whole life, and he has been in the Civil War in some nasty stuff in that Civil War because he's got a medal from somewhere. And after the war, it's implied that he's been robbing trains or banks or something because he is made of money and it's all fresh minted. And he don't want anybody asking questions about it. And at one point, Clayton asks him, are you wanted for something? And everybody just freezes. And he works his way out of that one. But this man, I will say this, we have to give him a lever action because of a very important scene where he's shooting at the buffalo and just bang, 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 bang. What are you doing, Ethan? Empty bellies, blanket head. We're not going to feed any Comanche this winter. So that scene requires you have a lever action. Now, he seems to stick with the same gun through the whole thing, and why wouldn't you really? Especially up to 73. So the only question is, which lever action? It can't be a Spencer because I don't think the Spencer shoots fast enough, and we've already given Charlie McCory a Spencer.
66 Winchester full rifle.
Full rifle. 66 Winchester full rifle. He's living by his guns, and he's been making a living with that gun for a while. So, thoughts, Snapper?
I agree. 66.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I was going to say Henry because we haven't given anybody a Henry, but then I remember Ethan is literally made out of money. So there's no reason why he wouldn't have the 66. And he doesn't have to do a hop with his hand. So, all right. Man's living by his guns. We can't give him a Schofield or a Smith & Wesson Model 3, I don't think, in 68.
I'd say he have 60 Armies.
I think he was too.
I'd say 60 Army conversions.
By 68, though, I don't know. Can they have them?
Gunsmith conversion.
Gunsmith conversions. So it shoots the exact same ammo he's using in a 66.
44 Henry conversions. Those do exist. I don't know how accurate they'd be, but I've seen them.
They do exist.
Actually,
The one thing I remember reading, because for a while there I got to reading about conversions, is someone found, I think it was a long conversion, which they think came out of Mexico or at least South Texas. They look like an open top, but they have the 60 Army barrel because they milled out the rest of the water table and made a new cylinder or whatnot. But I think they were saying that at least with the example they had was the 44 rimfire, the Henry rimfire just could not work well with that revolver. And they had to be a different rimfire, which was like somewhat of a little longer one with less of a rim.
Yeah,
I can see how you would lose you'd have to go down to 5 shots or something, or a special made cylinder. That's right. I didn't think about that.
The Smith & Wesson number 3 is introduced in 69, but doesn't hit the market till 70, so that's out for early on. I'm with you.
There's no other real cartridge that would have worked.
You would have to, look.
But he's got unlimited money. It wouldn't be that big of a deal to have a cylinder completely made.
Because it would have to be a different cylinder because the rim on the 44 Henry is too big. While you look at the Richards conversions with the 44 Colt, those had next to no rim.
But they existed. The Gunsmith 2-piece conversion cylinder for 44 Henry existed because there's one in Haven and Belden and the Dragoon.
The Dragoon. The Dragoon's.
But it's a Dragoon, not a
60 okay, bigger.
The cylinder is too small to fit because of the rim size. You have to be a completely custom ammo.
Because if you type in, even that McDowell Colt conversion book, they show a long cylinder conversion of a 60 Army.
Uh-huh.
And that's, purposely made cylinder for those conversions just because, they had to mill out the rest of the frame to accept a cylinder is one size because that little step didn't help anything.
Well, Ethan uses his pistol.
Yeah.
But he leans on his rifle, heavily. The only time I can think of, he uses his pistol when he's charging into the camp at the end, obviously. He draws his pistol on Debbie, and he uses his pistol to shoot the eyes out of the dead Indian. But other than that, every confrontation, whether it be in the fight at the river, shooting at Futterman, he's using his rifle. So I feel like he wouldn't mind having a pistol.
Duke sent us a picture, but it looks like it's
a long cylinder conversion.
Yeah. Now, is that an 1860 or is that a Navy?
That's an 1860, and it's a rimfire conversion.
Where's it at?
It's on your phone. Cell phone.
Oh, on cell phone.
I was thinking it didn't have the step, but you said they milled the step away, made it bigger because it needed a bigger cylinder.
Yeah.
I think that would work. I mean, why couldn't he have that? He has the money.
Yeah, they said there's I think that McDowell book said with the examples they found, which I think was 10.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all various degrees of work. So it must have been 10 different people, or they started out and got better as it went on. But yeah, they seem to either existed from Mexico or southern Texas.
Doug Duke says Ethan's Johnny Reb coat is artillery marked. I just remembered that. Sergeant stripes. So if that was his coat.
Yeah, but he's also wearing cavalry officer pants. Well, which would have been an officer for 1870s. It would have been sergeant for Civil War era. And those are definitely calves. So he's kind of got a mix of everything.
Yeah. Shop Monkey said strap a Gatling gun to his horse while we were at it. He can afford it. Well, Jonah Hex did.
That's true.
Oh boy, here we go.
Shop Monkey said for Ethan, just give him the full Josie Wales. Give him all the revolvers, sharps, and the 66 Winchester. Maybe, but he's more realistic than that. I mean, he travels light.
I would say he would have the long cylinder conversion if you want to give him a conversion. And him, hovering around, him going all over. He could have found someone who he could have found, got his hands a hold of one, and just a 66, full length rifle, just because, this guys say he wants to travel light. He, typically he only needs one handgun.
Yeah.
You know what sucks though is too the fact that the only gun that I can think of that would be an easy cartridge conversion at that time for him to have would be the Remington.
I don't think
They
he
were
has
around in
cartridge
68,
conversion.
69.
I don't think he has cartridge conversion handguns. I think he has cap guns, especially in 68.
Yeah.
And
In 68, I would say
said no ammo available unless it's one of those rare 44 Henrys.
yeah, that is true. Especially if he's out on the complete frontier, he's not making his own ammo. Like, why would you carry it? Because you're just going to run out.
Yeah, and I think he has 260 armies in a 66 rifle length.
I think that'd probably make more sense.
I think so. I mean, he wants the power in the handguns, obviously.
Yeah.
Doug, you got anything to give him? He's not a Texas Ranger. So if you got anything out there, Doug, shout it out. He's read that. But in my mind, I think we should stick with the 60 armies. Where do you go?
Yeah.
I agree. I can't think of anything else that would have been that big of a difference.
Yeah, because Martin's the one who uses the handguns mostly. I mean, Martin's so good with a handgun, he fan kills an Indian off his horse at like 300 yards off a sand dune. All right.
Yeah, that would make sense, especially since he's mostly on his rifle.
A 66 with a tank sight. Well, he snap shoots that rifle pretty fast. So, Doug Duke said, "Give him a knock volley again." Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Garrett, I'm gonna have to get going pretty soon.
Yeah.
My stomach's killing me.
Anyways, Duke has left. Anyways, we're gonna try to rip this down and put it on YouTube, guys. I'm glad you guys all came out here. I hope you enjoyed our episode here of Rearming the Searchers. We got done in right around 2 hours and 30 minutes. And I hope we'll be able to, if you're watching this on YouTube, guys, just remember you can watch this on Rumble Live and join in the chat. Appreciate everybody coming out. Thanks for watching the stream, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye-bye, everybody.